Welcome back to Exalted 3rd Edition Dragonblades Crimes of Nature. Last time, the crew had some conversations with the local lunar and solar pair, Sybil and Guan, and caught up on some dynamics on some of the stuff that had been happening with Bear, Teeth, some of the local opinions on matters. But then there was some attention that needed to be done, some important deeds and events that needed to be attended to, and we visited the Vigil's monastery. And there was some other tense conversations between Repose and Azar as things were caught up on and information was shared. Um, some catching up with the local cats, some of the local people. But first, before we go through the events of the rest of the temple and into the next day, there is a scene, set of scenes next. Uh, there was a set of scenes last week that I wanted to get to that we just didn't have time to, and we skipped over in the time of interest. And I feel like they're good to go to and talk about before the ensuing events.
Yeah, have at
So
it.
yeah,
If
Angler.
everyone that they need is here.
Mhm. Uh, Angler, you are muted. If you are,
I'm here. I was waiting for you to finish the whole fun stuff.
that's all right. I was just double checking. So, Angler wanted to take a brief side visit before the visit to the abbot, or to the abbey, and check in on Sun Guan and his family down in the Jade Prefecture on the way there for a brief set of private conversation. So that can happen now, so we can get that out of the way without too much of the timeline going back and forth on this. So, in about 24 hours before the current time in the period of the game, Angler was dropped off at the prefecture, uh, where Sun and Guan and Sybil, the tragedy of a surname and a forename being the same
Yep.
syllable to start, um, had already made it down through the road on a fairly impressive clip if you didn't know who they were. But yeah, they're already at the prefecture waiting, as well as the family. So, how would Angler approach this? What would Angler do first?
Well, Angler would allow the time to let the children play on
Oh,
Duchess.
yeah, yeah. The first thing that would be done is Ursula and Polaris are introduced to Sybil and Guan, and they're interested in them briefly until they see the Yedem, at which point, well, the Yedem is now the world's largest, just set of climbing toys. You climb up on the thing and you are now king of the world, and you just or Ursula even manages to be brave enough to shuffle up the neck of the Duchess and sit atop the head as she's just kind of placidly just like, yeah, no, this happens. Just very used to this pack animal kind of behavior. As Granite, Angler, and Sun and Cascade are all watching just kind of carefully, but it all turns out fine. And
Somewhere, Moat senses a challenge to his authority over high places, then rolls over, falls back to sleep.
there is just a lot of joy at this the experience of they make animals this big. Holy crap! As there is just some polite chatter between Angler's family and Sybil and Guan as they introduce themselves properly in person. Just some back and forth, some pleasantries before uh, the the meeting off to the side that had been asked for.
In preparation for the meeting, Angler would have packed enough food because they provided food the last time we met for 3 people. And then he remembers how much food Sybil eats. And then he remembers how much food she actually eats and packs enough for 6 people just to be on the safe side. And he would probably find a spot where the 3 of them would be a reasonable jogging or walking distance away that they wouldn't be disturbed if from any passerbys and such.
Yeah, so inside or outside city walls, just out of curiosity.
I would say outside city walls, probably in some like grove, or if there's a nearby like
Like probably
cave that's been used as a warehouse or something.
yeah, like a warehouse or a farm field or something that is currently Not like like something with crops that are decently high, not high enough to block sight, but like they're growing. You're not trampling them. You're just going through the farm fields and saking down in one of the clearings and sitting down for lunch.
Exactly. And then probably someplace nearby, like you said, a warehouse. So if the fisticuffs happen and auras start to happen, people don't immediately look over and go, there's a fight over there.
Right, exactly. So the two of them sit down. The Duchess has stayed back at the city, both so the kids can keep playing and also to safeguard all of the materials, as there is nothing quite as good as a defense mechanism for all of your supplies as an enormous, like, megalithic beast of burden that is trained to step on people who open the chests on it. So the Duchess can take care of herself while the three of you are out enjoying a picnic. So, as Sun just kind of sits down and gives you just kind of a grateful nod and a thank you for the food, as Sybil does as well. So you wanted to speak to us in private, away from your brothers. I gotta confess, I'm a little curious.
Well, I'm not going to beat around the bush on this. Originally, I had something I wanted to talk to you about, yet another problem I've had. But I think this time I actually want to offer you a service, Guan, because I noticed something in the last conversation we had where you had, in your way, helped out Repose with his bandit problems, his insurrectionists, and you might have gone a little too far, and you got yelled at for it.
There's just a very brief kind of exhaled out the nose of a laugh as he's unwrapping the food, but he nods and just kind of gestures free to go on.
I've been in that boat before where you try to do what you think is right to help, and in one way, shape, or form, it isn't taken the right way. And I know sometimes you just need someone to talk to about it to like figure out like maybe not what went wrong, but how to process it for next time. And sometimes you need someone outside of your usual comfort zone to talk to.
There is a kind of pause as he just kind of lays out the bottle of wine and just some of the food. I appreciate the gesture, Angler. This is not the first time I've had this kind of situation. I'm rather used to dealing with processing things like this. Just kind of pours himself a little bit of the glass of wine and takes a sip. But I do appreciate the concern and
how do you deal with it then?
There is a pause, like mid pause as the cup is going back up to his lips. Not in a way I would suggest to you.
I mean, not necessarily that situation, but how do you deal with constantly waiting for something to go wrong? That eternal like vigilance.
Sybil, give a read intentions actually for this one.
Yeah, I was kind of building towards that one.
And one dice stunt on this.
Fuck it, I'll use a willpower. 4 successes. I'm at full. I'll get 1 back.
Guan's face is still quite composed and just kind of neutral thought. Sybil is genuinely just glancing over to Guan like, just a very visible look of how are you handling this so I know where the lead is going. Takes a sip of the wine, puts the glass down, looks over to you. There's a couple of answers, and I don't think you're going to like any of them. And like I said, the ways that I deal with it are ways that I would not suggest to others. First and foremost, how do you deal with the quiet is a loaded question. When you're sufficiently on edge, it's never quiet. It's a matter of filtering the signal from the noise. That's the trick. As for the toll that it takes on you, he pauses, takes a breath in, larger sip of wine as Sybil just kind of leans in a little bit. I confess, if I was not in the living position that I was in, I would have considerably more difficulty if I did not have a reliable partner in second to have as a safety net. Otherwise, all I can really tell you is that he stops as he chooses his words carefully. I don't want to say you get used to it, because that's not right. You become accustomed to bearing the weight.
You're right, I didn't like the answer.
He just kind of smiles grimly.
The entire way to the island and the entire way back, on one little ship in the ocean, I was fully expecting to be attacked at all times. Day after day, nobody attacking, no one coming. But we have no way to run except for them. And if we get separated, that's it. And nothing happened. And on the way back, we had several ships with us, my retinue. And we still weren't attacked. And I don't get it. I don't. They had a perfect opportunity to attack us.
Did they?
It seemed like it. Why wouldn't you attack us in the middle of the ocean? The only person out there who really knows how to fight is me. If we get in the water, we have people who can sail, but if they get on board, what happens?
You're thinking too small.
What do you mean?
Okay. He just kind of claps his hands together gently. Think of it this way. You are attacked by rogue elementals, gods, whatever you would like to claim as something that will jump your boat, if they were able to, if they had the capacity to. What do you think is going to happen if the hostility towards you is something from a bureaucracy, and all of a sudden, boats with 7 princes of the earth, probably a jade talent or 2 of wealth, dozens of people unaffiliated with you beyond familial ties or basic ties, all of them are sent to the bottom of the water.
That's an awful lot of paperwork.
That's an awful lot of explaining you have to do. The thing that has kept us alive as long as it has kept us alive is being too much of a pain in the neck to actually be justified for killing. There is a fine balance between the art of being a nuisance and the art of having a target on your head. And Sybil is just kind of smiling to herself as this explanation is going. Is one that she looks very familiar with.
I'm curious how much of a target we have on our back because of the old man compared to the 2 of you.
Less. Far less. Oh boy.
I mean, that's the answer I hoped for, but not what I wished.
Put it this way. If I had to wager a guess, you have a personal vendetta going on against you because you've only seen one actor, you've only had limited interactions, and it has been distant and impersonal. Sybil, he says, turning his head as she's just giant shit-eating grin. Even beyond the fact that she is a chosen of the sun, and there are elements out there who would rather not have them be around, takes a fair amount of pride in tweaking the nose of people who would rather see her out of the picture. She's just kind of nodding before leaning in herself. Again, a lot of our personal advice, she says, is not really one that I would give to you in your heart, because it isn't really translatable. The part of the reason that I'm still alive is they tried to kill me. They have tried. A couple of times, actually. As you can clearly tell, it didn't stick. So we reached the point of diminishing returns on, do we send more resources to fix this problem? Are they really that much of an irritation? And then I just danced that line long enough that they were willing to just back off. And so long as he and I don't make too much of a big noise, we have an understanding. I do what I do, he does what he does, they stay up there, and we don't get our throats cut, unless somebody didn't get the memo and they try to give another swing at it, which is why my good husband keeps his eye out.
Is that what you do? I figured if you said when the two of you make a lot of noise, Guan, do you make a lot of noise?
Could you repeat that? Sorry, my head.
Yeah, sorry. Guan, does that mean Guan makes a lot of noise as well? Because that doesn't seem like your style.
Guan shakes his head immediately. No. She said we. She mostly meant I. Although I am not unknown to set boundaries if certain actors decide to go a little far in setting their own.
At the mention of that, Angler goes very still.
Like, Guan's eyes immediately flick up. They are less apologetic and more calculating of what did I just say and was it bad.
Boundaries. Are these boundaries to stop them or to stop you?
Guan leans back, raising the tip of his head slightly, now giving a much more quietly appraising look to Angler. Here's what you really wanted to ask then, huh? You're not seeing me, you're seeing the mirror.
In many ways, I'm seeing what I hope I can see years from now. But I'm also so scared at the same time.
Be careful what you wish for, trust me. I wish you far better than whatever happened to us. But, if you're asking in terms of boundaries, I'm asserting boundaries around us, not on me. And from the question of yours, it sounds like that you are thinking of or require or use boundaries upon yourself. That's not a healthy way to live. It may be a way to live when you are dealing with it, but so long as you are trying to set a line and not enforce the behavior to reinforce itself, all you're doing is caging an animal. You're not actually dealing with the problem.
But do you have rules you have to follow that you change and adapt every time you step over that line?
There's another period of brief silence. I don't have rules. I have goals. I've also merely figured out what is and is not helpful in the long term to pursue and maintain those goals.
Let me tell you a story so I can tell you another one. And as he does this, he begins to unwrap the bindings on his gauntlets. My mother told me a long time ago, there are two types of people in this world. There are kind people and there are everyone else. Kind people don't need rules. They don't need boundaries. They don't need anything to bind them in place, because a kind person does kind things. And then there's everybody else. Everybody else who needs those rules and boundaries to stop them from doing what they want, to take what they think they need and hurt other people in the process. And he lets the bindings go just to show off the gauntlets. My brother gave me these gauntlets. He made them for me. 1,000 Miracles Yang, or however many you want to call them now. They're called kindness and integrity. A kind man isn't given gauntlets called kindness as a reminder of how good he is. A man is given these gauntlets, a person is given these gauntlets as a reminder to be better. I messed up, and I have to look at these every day and remember what I did was wrong.
Goddamn right you do, bitch.
So are you gonna sit there and keep feeling sorry for yourself about it, or are you gonna actually follow the message?
And following the message, it doesn't mean it didn't hurt when he did it. I came to him for help. I didn't need a slap in the face.
Sounds to me like you did.
Not like that.
You don't choose how people help you. Get the help you ask for.
I wasn't asking for help when I got it. Not that way. I was just asking for help to help them, to protect them. It's hard to ask for help for myself. It's just,
I can tell.
I don't mind feeling weak, but I like to do it my own way.
You don't have control over that. It's the onlooker who has control over whether you think you're weak or not. He now is leaning in, looking a lot more serious. If you are preoccupied with feeling like you need to be a better person because you're a bad one inside, if you think that you innately need chains or you're going to do bad things, then you're going to do bad things no matter how many chains you have on you. Your mother lied to you. There is no division of people who are magically kind, who will never do a mistake, and who will always do the nice thing, and who will always be kind and helpful and selfless and sacrificing. And there is no such thing as a person who is completely, irredeemably a monster who needs lines and rules and chains and boundaries and all of these things, because the second those go away, they're all going to turn into animals. Those people are molded in either way. And they are molded just as much by the little voice in your head as they are the voices outside of you. If you look at those gauntlets and you see them as this is a reminder of me to not be a monster, you are saying to yourself, I am a monster. First thing you need to do is take that voice and kill it. You want to be kind? You want to be good? Then be kind. Be good. Don't lean on nature as an excuse. Don't lean on your own failures.
Failures are how you learn, though. I don't forget them so I can become better.
Precisely, he leans in, now actually having a very slightly manic look in his eyes. Yes. You learn from your failure.
I would like to do a read intentions on him right there, looking to see if I can see how many failures he's got behind those eyes.
Go ahead and roll with a 2-dice stun. So you get one of his defining intimacies. I will never fail in my duty again. This is, for the briefest instant, a mountain on your shoulders as you make eye contact, and centuries way down on you. You are looking at something who is listening to a child complain about a thorn in the foot when he has been living his life with a spike in his heart.
Can I tell where that spike is? Or what it is?
Roll me wits investigation.
Right, I'm gonna use investigation charms right now. Nope, I don't get to reroll a 6 because I don't got a 10. So 6 successes.
Sybil. But not Sybil directly. In fact, as you look over to Sybil, she suddenly looks really, like, genuinely worried. You're not sure how, but she's just kind of looking nervous in a way of not, oh, I don't want this to come out, but of, oh, he's going down a way.
You weren't there, were you? When it mattered most.
How do you know that?
Because it almost happened to me.
He is suddenly, like, barely in control of his breath. Like, that question was a knife to the liver. He's trying to pull himself together. You're right. You're right.
No,
This is what I mean.
I
If
think
you
we're
spend-
both right.
And this is why I am sitting here and I'm not letting you leave until you understand the more time you sit there feeling sorry for yourself and trying to find a way to feel better about getting slapped in the face when you've made a mistake, that's less time you have to improve.
And an angler actually sits back and smiles. That's what I needed. Not the talk. That look. If it still hurts you that much, centuries after it happens, however long it's been, that means you still care. And you still try. I just needed something that I could see to show me where I need to go. I don't care if it hurts. I just needed the way.
There is a just absolute deep cut with a knife tension between Sybil and Guan as both are seeing who wants to say something first. And this is actually just going to be down to a roll of who does get the gumption to say what they're thinking first. Guan, as Sybil is opening her mouth, just holds up a hand and goes, if you're looking to me for an inspiration on how to deal with life centuries later, I'm a failure. Look for a better way than me. Do not look at me. Do not look at what I have done. And take that as a validation of what you are doing.
I don't need to validate anything. I just need to see that I can fail and still move forward. I'll fail as many I'm going to fall on my face hundreds, thousands of times, I hope. I pray I last that long. But I'm just going to keep getting back up. You're still here.
And I'll stay here.
That's all we can ask.
Well,
At least that's all I want to ask for.
I was going to say, he mumbles to himself, all you can ask, maybe. Sybil just kind of gives a look over to Angler.
Yes? You have something to say, Sunshine.
She looks really uncharacteristically rattled. And not, again, she's far less good at hiding her composure and actually actively doesn't usually bother to, compared to Sun. She's willing to just let her emotions be on her face. And what is clearly right now is that she is unsettled on Guan's behalf for you clearly just reached into his brain and smacked the trauma button. And he is just kind of seething on that. And she's just kind of looking at you, evaluating you, and eventually says, "You may think you understand in terms of how easy it is to fail, and what it is to get back up, and how it is to improve yourself after that. And I'm sure you do, for what you've experienced so far. There are things you can't undo, and there is a long, long life ahead of you to live with those." I think that's what he's trying to say. There are challenges in life put in front of you that make you stronger, that make you grow, that make you more powerful, that make you learn and grow and have the scar over the wound protect you. And there are things that don't do that. If you try to carry the weight of the world, your back is going to snap. And you get the feeling that she's not just talking to you when she says that.
Both of your backs look pretty straight. For now, at least. I don't have to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders by myself. I have my family for that. My brothers. We don't have to carry it for long, just long enough. Something's happening out here. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to guess what it is. But we need to fix it.
And you're in a good position to do so, and I'm glad to help you with it.
I just need to... Nope, that's the wrong way to put it. I'm not going to say I just need to last long enough until it's fixed. That's wrong.
Oh, it'll never be fixed, Juan mumbles to himself.
I didn't mean the entire thing, but just this one crack in the wall. I can put one finger in the dam and the other 20 holes are still going to pour out all the water.
And you have 10,000 dragons to help you.
If I had 10,000 dragons to help me, this problem would be solved.
There's just kind of a silent, bitter laugh from that. You would think that, wouldn't you?
I would hope. But the day we have... What the hell is going on in this... Whatever. The day we have 10,000 dragons on our back is the day the world ends. We've got 5. Maybe 7 on the outside. We'll make do.
That you will.
And he stops for a second and just looks at Guan as he's still seething, and... I got lucky. I wasn't there when I needed to be. She took care of herself.
His eyes very slowly go up to yours, making very deeply uncomfortable, intense eye contact.
He's going to look right back and just let him see. I'm not going to hide it.
This silence is about this long as there is just the staring before there is a just lean back again. This time a just kind of distant appraisal. There's a difference between being there to help someone and being there to control an outcome.
I've learned recently that you can't control everything, and when you try, it blows back in your face.
Good. Remember that.
It'll be hard not to. That's something I'll never forget.
You've got a long life.
I've got brothers to help me remember.
He just kind of goes back to eating his food quietly before Sybil leans in. Kind of sensing a shift in conversation moment. So about that request you had for me.
Yeah, speaking of that, getting knocked down and standing back up. Look, I've learned a new way to fight. My old way, I could hit rocks and trees. I could hit the ground, fight in the water, whatever you want to call it, and I could make an impact and see what happens. But this new one, I need somebody to hit. And someone who can take it. And more importantly than anything else, I need someone I can hit who I won't unconsciously hold back against. My brothers can take this. They can. I know they can. Well, some of them can. 2 of them could. The point is, I'd still hold back against them, whether I meant to or not. And at the same time, I need to get hit in the face by someone who's not holding back, who's much, much stronger than I am.
Oh, I'd kill you if I do that. I can promise you that I wouldn't hold back on defending against you, but no, I can't fight against you full bore, trying to kill you, because I would kill you.
Let's see about that.
She just kind of shrugs slightly.
And at this point, he'd stand up, take off the gauntlets for this point, and kind of crack his neck and get into the fighting stance. And as he does, he's going to pull from either a cistern or some sort of well nearby the water around him. It's fitting.
Immaculate, huh?
I learned how to do this by someone who saw Immaculates being taunted from a solar, from the sun. It'd be fitting the first person I use it against is the sun. And he's going to adapt the water dragon form. Just feeling the water coiling and tightening around him like a second suit of armor. Come on. You and I both talk better with our fists than anything else. Let's get this done.
I suppose we do, she says as she cracks her knuckles, stands up, rolls her shoulders.
And that, children, is where your father's other arm went.
Yes. I was actually going to say immediately after that. And 2 seconds later, Angler woke up, as seeming from a daze, and tried again.
Yeah, no, so basically what narratively I can say is there is not even a... If this was a full actual fight, we could roll it out, but it would take a while, but I can skip to the point of just, no, you might hit a wound penalty on her, and I am not kidding when I said if she actually gave a shit, she would kill you, so...
She's Dawncast, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She is Flight Cast.
Yes, I understand. Again, Engler is fully aware of how much shit he's putting himself in.
So basically,
Angler, I absolutely need someone who will authentically try to kill me. Other members of the team who are actual martial arts instructors. No, you don't.
No,
You want the opposite of that.
So that is actually effectively the end point of the lesson is as the sparring goes on and Angler is getting into water dragon form and really just working out the method of the form and just starting to land hits and feeling the essence flow start to be disrupted, she's giving pointers. Like, she is actually giving a couple of tips here and there of like, okay, you know, that was a really good hit. Like just very casually in the middle of the fight, barely even dodging out of the way, just taking the hits to the chest of just like, that's a good hit. With your next swing, I would come in a little lower on the right, and I would be about 15 angles upwards, so you would hit this meridian instead. As she just catches your other hand offhandedly by the wrist and wrenches it around your back and kicks you about 5 feet away as she's still monologuing. And the more you throw into trying to fight her and trying to genuinely injure and kill her, the more you realize you're hitting not just a wall, you're hitting a wall that is putting the bricks back in itself.
Right around that point when the bricks are putting back in itself, he's going to pull a little bit more water and make the violent mantle around himself and start attacking from a little bit longer range.
Okay, yeah, no, good. See, I'm unarmed. You fight at a distance. You're taking advantage of that. You should have been doing that in the first place. You shouldn't have let me get close. Like here. And she suddenly bounds 15 feet in and grabs you by the throat and choke slams you into the ground. See? You should have been more distant from the first place. Should have been aware that if I had abilities to get close, then you should have been more on guard. If you're far away, that is not a free pass to avoid getting grabbed.
Oh, I know. And as at this point, he's got both his legs wrapped around her in a bar.
This is really gonna hurt.
And she's just
Me.
yeah, she's like completely ignoring this, basically. And she is just like, okay, standing arm bar while I'm standing? Impressive, genuinely impressive. Love the core strength. Would be a great strategy on anybody else. I would actually keep this one in mind to have somebody else have one of their arms, maybe their weapon arm disabled in a fight. Take them out entirely, have one of your hearthmates on my left side fight me. This would be good. This is great. This is a wonderful idea. Problem for you. And she just whips her arm around, and you can't explain why, but your grip just lets go, and you are suddenly thrown like a shot put. Thunk against the far wall of the warehouse. You do have promise on this, she says as she's walking up and being hit. Yang had a lot of promise on this as well. I hope he's coming along in his training. I haven't checked on that lately. He seems to be going more into the crafting and the mechanical sciences part, which is good for him. I mean, so long as he's having interest in that sort of thing, I am supporting of his development in whichever way it goes.
Yeah, we cover each other a little bit.
This is what I mean, she says as she kind of leans in. And narratively speaking, if this was a fight, she would not have used a decisive on you yet. This would be pure withering damage of just inconveniencing you and getting you away and putting you in a bad position. As this is about the point where you would just be crashed, and she just kind of leans in over you. So, 2 things. Genuine fight, number 1, wouldn't have gone this long. I would have ended it early as soon as I saw an opportunity, which was, how many did I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different opportunities I had to put you in the ground. Second thing, right now, she just kind of grabs you by the front of the collar and pulls you up. This is the point where I tell you that I'm not actually that good at this compared to the rest of my associates. You know what I'm good at? Taking a punch. Go on, hit me.
Been hitting you.
No. Hit me when I'm not doing anything.
Fine. And he's going to reach back and twist out of her grip and let the robe just fall off, and then do a full side kick directly to her chest and try to, do that charm.
Alright, and that one would actually kind of get her to stagger to the side a little bit of just like, alright, you learned the lesson. Fight dirty. When you are fighting a better opponent, you fight dirty. You fight against their expectations, you take advantage of them not taking you seriously, and you swing in. Again, unfortunately for you, I'm kind of good at this. And you realize that a kick that probably would have shattered the bones of the Duchess she's just kind of swaying a little bit. So here's the thing. What you are learning from fighting me is only transferable to fighting me. I am not like anything else you are going to fight. Not even other ones like me. Not even other solars. I am not as good at possibly killing you. I am not as good as simply reaching into your brain and making you do what I want you to do. I sit here and I take hits until the other person tires themselves out, and then I do whatever I need to end the fight. Whatever else you're fighting is probably not going to take that strategy.
So I should get in close.
There's
That-
one
that-
person that he could fight that could take that strategy, but only one.
Again, she kind of respects old man on that.
The
But
thing is, the person, I wanted this practice for, has a giant glowing gauntlet that shoots laser beams.
yeah, no, against him, she actually kind of sits and thinks for a second. Against him, I honestly don't know what he's going to do in a fight, because I haven't had much direct interaction with any of that. But if I had to guess, if he's got a laser beam for a hand and he's going to be relying on that, he's probably not that good in a direct fight. If you got in past the hand and you switched it off, or you knocked it aside, or maybe just kind of neutralized that as a threat somehow, he's probably going to be relying that on as the plan A, B, C, and D. He's going to be off guard if you take that out, but I would not rule out that he has other things he can do. They're
Yeah.
probably just not going to be combat. He's probably going to, if he has a situation where his big tool for killing people is turned off or dealt with, going to start fighting dirty, just the same way you are. If he's put in a disadvantageous position, he's going to switch tactics. He's going to do something else. I don't know what, but it's probably not going to be hitting you in the face.
Also, he's probably got people to do that for him.
Precisely. He's almost certainly going to have backup, and it's going to be a much more difficult proposition to actually come in and do that to him if he's fighting with even half of his brain.
Dang. Could you believe it? Dr. Beams is going to shoot beams at you.
Now, I do have one warning. I don't know if this is the case or not, but it is better that you have an idea of what might happen if it does. Juan and I have not dealt much with the underworld. Your Hearthmate probably has more collective experience between him and his Vigil than us together. But there is one thing I know is real. And there's one thing I've definitely heard of through the stories of these things coming out through thorns and things like that. There are... How to put this? There are things at the bottom of the underworld that would rather like to not be there. Whether that would be getting out and rampaging all over the world like some sort of giant dragon, or just punching the clock and leaving. Don't know. What I do know is that any given ghost that has lost its marbles and has suddenly started hooting and hollering and trying to bring about the end of the world, driving other ghosts into madness, dragging them down into the depths, turning into weird skeletons covered in black leather, hooks poking out of them, all those weird ghosts that just kind of go wild and just start doing weird self-destructive things. That's because they can hear the stuff at the bottom of the of the underworld. And if this...
I'm sorry, of the what now? You said something else before Underworld.
That was a genuine misstep.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say reality and was going to go, hold on, let's have a conversation about that.
No, that was not in character.
Okay.
But if this, I don't know, evil solar, if you want to call them that, it's kind of what they sound like. I don't know what's going on still. It's relatively new development. I'm still figuring things out. Haven't really had much fist-to-fist conversation with them. If those things are tied to that, which I think they would be because they're rather similar to a lot of pre-existing things like more whites and other ghosts that start to lose their marbles, they might have a way of using that against you. And I don't know what that's going to do. But it's probably going to be bad.
Okay. That's something to think about. By the way, when you were talking about underhanded things, and he's going to point to his right hand at this point, which is radiating light energy. I stole some of your essence earlier. Why does it taste like metal?
I don't know. She kind of shrugs at that a little bit. I mean, I haven't really had anybody ask me that one before, so
Has anyone stolen your essence before?
maybe not that I know of. Certainly nobody who ever has who's ever stopped and asked me to taste ask what it tastes like. What kind of metal does it taste like? Copper, iron? What are we talking here?
Well, it might just be my own blood in my mouth at this point. But it's something, and it's strong.
That might just be your body processing the essence in my body, which is very much designed to be in me and not in other things. Sun's a little powerful. Doesn't really interface with things very easily without them just blowing up. When you're using the power...
The phrase blowing up, he just shoots it into a wall. Yeah, okay, not touching that anymore.
And yeah, there is just kind of a flash of light. Yeah, no, when you're interfacing with things like orichalcum or other things that are directly influenced by Sol Invictus, delicate process. Really delicate process. You don't want to have it go too far one way or the other, or it'll kind of jump the boundaries, and then you don't have the power of the sun in the controlled environment, and then things just probably get bad for you really quickly.
Okay. Thank you.
Not a problem.
This won't be the last time we do this, and I'm going to keep trying until eventually... No, I'm just going to keep trying.
Oh, no! By all means, bring your hearth, make an event of it. You might actually have a shot if you bring the whole thing.
See about that. I still want a couple solo matches. I saw what happened, and I want to do better.
Good on you. That's how it works.
Oh, I so want to punch you in the face right now, but I don't think I can stand up straight right now.
Oh, by all means, I'll give you a free one. Go ahead. Get the...
No, I already did that. Now it's just pity, and that's just not fair.
Joke's on you. The first one was pity, too.
Yeah, I know.
All of them were pity, basically.
And yeah, as soon as she starts laughing, he actually does punch her immediately again, and is going to use, at this point, the last charm he wanted to use, which is Flow Reversal Strike.
Oh, wow! Oh! Wow! Oh!
And how much of that is fooling around, or how much of that is actually feeling all the blood in your body reverse course for a couple seconds?
Oh! I haven't felt that one in a while. Oh, man, I forgot how much that's uncomfortable. Oh.
Yeah. Didn't feel good on my side either. I'm gonna go collapse against the wall now. That's cringe. Look. The water dragon style is fucking weird, okay?
I thought it was also the one where the lungs began to fill with blood, hence the coughing.
Oh no, that was the previous one he used. That was drowning in blood technique.
Yeah, no, she would have coughed up a little bit of that and just gone, oh man, blech. Just, man, even if I can get through this still sucks.
Oh,
Ooh.
Stop it.
Wow, flow reversal strike. That's nasty.
Yeah.
That's like, again, even Sybil would just be like, blech.
Remember at the beginning when Angler said he needed to hit someone who could take it? And he would not feel bad using it on? There's a reason he wanted her.
Yeah, no, this on somebody else would be genuinely horrible, and Sybil is supernal resistance and still just goes, ooh, wow, unpleasant actually. Not even faking it, don't like that.
Oh, I hate sipping the bone-hurting juice. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, for her it's some bone-holding juice. For the rest of the crew it's like, maybe you never do that to us again. Anyway, that's enough of that.
she would actually have one last comment for you after the essence stealing comment. Whatever you do, don't do that on anything from the underworld that looks spooky. Just don't.
What about laser beams?
Even more so.
Not,
Don't.
not him? Okay. So when you say don't, is this like don't on the map or don't as in like
I think genuinely, I think it would kill you or drive you mad. You might be able to do it, but you might also invite the horrible stank ghosts into your brain.
There's this moment looking on his face now where it just for a second he lets the mantle down the veneer. It's just like, man, I really want to do that now. Why'd you have to say that? It's like saying don't touch the stove. I gotta touch the stove.
If you want to do it in a responsible environment, try doing it on something small, weak, and punchable and see how your body reacts to that rather than punching the me but evil and seeing if your body doesn't do bad things. Like, I get it. You wanna eat the rock. You wanna eat the edible looking rock. Just don't. Sometimes the rock will just kill you.
Cowardice.
All right. Fine. All right, that's enough. Thank you.
All right, and with that out of the way, we can go back to the where in this increasingly large list of maps. There we go.
Suddenly, as we snap back to the reality that is the temple, Angler just has a lot of bruises on his body for some reason. It's the weirdest shit. Just popped out of nowhere.
Well, Angler is one of the members of the team who would not try to prevent Yang from swooping in and doting on
Yeah.
the first sign of injury.
On the way out to my forestry adventure, I would probably just slap him on the butt medically.
I mean,
Bad.
hey, if you want to, go for it.
Medical butt slaps.
I think in this case that would be on the face.
Something is getting slapped and it will be better.
You're calling me a butt face?
Well, Milan's calling you a butt face.
Not
Yeah, I know.
intentionally.
This is in character now. Anyways, come here.
Not intentionally. I'm sorry.
Man, I need to go talk to my wife about that one. My best buddy just called me an ass face.
Oh no, I'm
Do
sorry.
an actual
That
medicine
entire
roll.
heart to heart with Guan and all that, and the thing that rattles you the most is Milan
Can you
calling
call
you a butt
that?
face.
No, he's actually funny
Unintentionally
rattled.
too, and you know that it was unintentional.
That's why it hurts so much.
But yeah.
All right, repose on. So, like,
I'll do
having
it
left
anyways.
off from the heated exchange
The,
and allowing that to smolder and cool down, repose will drop off the written portion of his report that contains the rest of the comparatively boring stuff, and I will just kind of go ahead and throw some dice behind a manipulation, linguistics, rhetoric kind of.
Yeah, go ahead.
Work some detente into that. There's a lot of this weird mix of clerical jargon and the anachronisms that are part of this temple's culture, and just a lot of social context that only exists between these two.
Yes.
That is all built in there.
Yeah. So
To just
one
kind
dice.
of give her the rest of the news in the form that Repose is best able to make it, approachable. And so 2 bonus successes in here from the excellence. So just a 5 influence to just take things as well as she can.
It's
Usual
it's a
peace
noble,
offering.
it's a noble effort. It'll do for now. She'll still be smoldering for probably about half a week, but that's actually a relatively good turnaround time for her.
Yes.
It's all right. Ceremonial way of handling it has been done. It has gotten down to habit between the two of you. But at this point, It is around the time where the cats have completely accommodated themselves to the box of smelling objects, and one of
Yes.
them is actually just laying atop of it, just chilling.
So Repose will spend the night in his own damn house, actually sleep a night in his own damn house, and before going to bed amidst the mound of the rest of the swarm, whatever parts of them stay in the house at night, he will just unlatch. It's like I'm picturing that the box has like a series of dividers in it that are separating each of these items from each other. He'll just kind of unlatch it and loosen the lid while this other cat is laying on it, and just get it set up loose enough so that those interested can finish prying it open and start poking around inside.
It doesn't take long for poking noses and prying claws to just kind of pop it open and just be like, what is this? What is
Each
this?
of them gets a little reassuring scratch on the back of the head, and the night is allowed to continue.
Meanwhile, in the night, Thousand Miracles Yang, please roll me a intelligence survival check as you are doing your vibe check in the woods.
I'm specifically doing it down near the territory where Repose is adopted, by the way.
Okay.
This is the most roundabout way that Yang is going to get him a birthday present.
Okay.
Just going to go find some bush, dead bush, whatever, sick, mulch it back up into powder, spray it around, fertilize the forest, make it healthy.
If that's an angle you're going for, there is notes that I could offer up along this front of while Yang is going out and having to think about animals.
I had a thought as well, but go on.
So there is in the land surrounding the town plenty of grazing area where various sheeps are being herded about. And just kind of you're on that level of intuitive wood brain that in some way you kind of free associate and connect that there's one of these flocks that just kind of reminds you of Repose's general attitude. You feel dirt vibes.
These
off
feel
of
like
some
an
of these
especially
sheep.
pious herd of sheep.
Once you take a moment to look at it, it's like a lot of the other herds are like as you would do with breeds of animals. They're all kind of homogenous within whatever collection they are. This one is a weird melange of a bunch of like sheeps of various shades or with splotchy coatings or otherwise sheep that would be like set aside and culled from other herds for like not being good for business. And here it's just a lot of sheep piled in,
Yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
living.
So we have a calico sheep here, basically.
Also, wait, hold on, that shade of gray is familiar.
I'm going to try and wrestle the sheep.
As you go in for the sheep, please roll me dexterity dodge.
Okay.
There is the briefest moment as you go in to get that sheep and get your arms around that sheep before you hear a very decidedly not sheep noise. You hear a... Wait, that's a cow? Oh my god! And from inside the fluff of the sheep launches this highly compacted tube of enraged muscle and cat that launches past your face with all of its claws and teeth out.
Ah.
And as you just turn around, it is a tortoiseshell cat that is more or less looks like it is on some sort of enraged stimulant drug. It is furious that you have interrupted its nap place in the warm friend zone, and it is going to make you bleed for it.
Yang enters a combat pose. He puts his backpack down. The aura is flaring. He enters goose style. And
The cat... Go ahead.
I want to kick my cabinet as hard as I can straight up in the air.
Okay, roll me a, how I guess would that be Dex Brawl?
Yeah, maybe. So, 8. This is using goose style, but we'll get to that point. Oh, no.
No, that's not a botch. That's 4
Okay,
successes.
good.
So you are able to kick the cabinet way into the air as this cat, just puffed up all the way, launches again at your shins specifically, not the face now. Now going for, you don't really have armor on your legs or your pants.
I refuse to fight the cat.
The cat has now completely wrapped itself around your shins and is, well, you are now intimately familiar with what a pigeon feels like when it's being disemboweled. There is a lot of back kicking with the legs going on, and oh god, ow, 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 ow!
While this is happening and the cabinet is sailing in the air, I kicked it in such a way that catnip is now falling down. Catnip and every cat treat I have designed for Moat is being jettisoned at once in a very comical cloud of, please, beast, now! I don't know what the fuck he wants, but he's getting all of it.
Alright, so...
Just every shot of something launching chaff or flares to deflect a missile, but it's
Yes,
treats.
but
Yeah, pretty much. I'm launching cat flares now.
Alright, the one time I think of, there should be an animal can roll for this. No, it's just survival again. With survival, please.
I refuse to fight the cat.
Oh no, this is not a roll to fight the cat, this is a fight to think.
With survival. Ah, that's a 10.
Let us measure the quality of your preparations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what catnip's really good at doing for cats?
Exciting the cat?
Getting them excited and wound up and cranked up and doing all sorts of violence to this thing that is full of catnip because it smells delicious and stimulating. And now it's raining all over you. And the sheep.
Oh, no.
Yeah, about the point where the cat is realizing the smell and has just gone to full dinner plate dilation of eyes and is literally trying to climb up you like a cat tree, one of your literal actual cat trees lands on your head with a loud thunk and knocks you to the ground as the cabinet lands next to you.
Please scratch on that instead of me.
The cat, with that survival roll, you look into the eyes of this cat and you see no mercy. You see no such thing as justice. You see no such thing as passing.
I look at the cat in the dead in the eyes. Have you ever chosen anything besides violence when you wake up?
No. And it goes to your face and latches on, biting your nose.
You know what? It lives there now. It's probably focused on me because I smell like catnip. I'm going to calmly walk back to Repose's temple.
Stamina resistance, please.
What is my resistance? Oh no, this is bad. Can I pitch you something?
Go ahead.
Can I douse myself in Ethan Winter's juice to help numb the pain? So I can use a medicine stamina roll.
Do you just want to take an opiate, is what you are asking me?
Basically, yes.
Yes, you are a doctor. You have painkiller.
I'm going to
finally,
consume
a reason to use
painkillers
this morphine.
so that yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna take morphine and just take this cat back to the cat family.
Okay, the role is now different. Now the role is, can you get home high as nuts on morphine with a cat hanging off of you, bleeding out?
This is extremely on brand. It would be survival something, but I do not know what.
Stamina survival, just to see if you get there before you fall over.
You know, I was going to tell Sybil that Yang's been working on his martial arts lately, and he could take care of himself.
He gets the
I might
cat.
not be able to do that right now.
Even though it's done nothing but even though it's done nothing but violence, it does not deserve this.
So, cabinet back on the body, opiates taken, slowly kicking in, even with the wood aspect. Old man being on the walls at this point probably is the first one to see a very odd sight of a Thousand Miracles Yang with kind of staggering back and forth across the road, more kind of navigating by feeling and balance and muscle memory, because there's still a cat hanging off the face, just claws embedded in the ears and the back of the neck and chewing on the face.
Yang is singing something. I don't know what. I don't know what.
To the cat.
There's some nursery rhyme he's singing that he likes. And just gonna start walking towards the temple, politely knock on the door and wait for it to open.
Old man does not go down and open the door or anything. In fact, just stares at him with the full flat
That's fine.
face,
It's
facial expression that you can
yeah.
get, which is eyes half lidded, mouth completely flat, and just looking at him, going, "That's the most Yang shit I've ever seen."
It's not old man's job to open up the door, so I cannot begrudge him for not opening up the door.
There are
No.
people whose job is operating the door.
Twice. It appears that there is either no one posted at the door, and then the old man looks down briefly. It's people who are looking at what's going on at the door and going, do we really want to open the door? Do we really want to attract the attention
I
of
bring
that
you auspicious tidings.
And the only
And-
reason that's the most Yang shit you've ever seen is because you weren't there when he made the moon metal.
He is high off his ass, got a cat crawling all over him, and he has walked ass backwards back and forth to success in some form.
Well,
It's everything you get.
violence against an animal mutilating him.
Yes. It is as deep in there as you can get.
Would Obsidian and I hear this so we can go over and open the door?
About the time you hear this and kind of pop out of the building to check on what's going on, you see Stalwart Daughter trotting up past the guards at the gate who are worried about the cat, gently put her mouth on the door and pull back and step backwards. As Yang steps.
Such a good horse. I'm dying.
Is what comes out.
Horse noises.
Moat just kind
Yeah,
of
noises.
turns to look at Obsidian and Angler, and for once, Moat is genuinely just like, what in the fuck?
I intuit where Repose is and just sort of saunter up.
Well, Repose is halfway across the compound in a building,
Yeah.
so you would probably be passing by Angler and Obsidian first.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to grab the cat, or should I get the cat?
Can you tell me where Repose is, good sirs?
No, this is too funny.
No, he just helped me, and I'm gonna reach out and just grab the cat by the scruff of the neck and pull it off.
Chomp!
Yang. Yeah, go for it, cat. Because if it's biting onto the gauntlets, it's not gonna do anything.
That's certainly not stopping it. It is literally probing with its canine teeth and its claws, looking for any divot in the metal into leather that it can claw into. Of just, you have never heard a cat make these noises that was not a cat in some sort of horrible amount of pain or trying to attract a hot cat singles in your area kind of situation. It is the most noisy cat you have ever heard.
I
Smash cut.
found a gift for a brother.
Brief smash cut aside to propose, laying quietly, peacefully in the mound of other various warm, fuzzy creatures gathered around the tall friend. How much of a penalty would you put on awareness for being asleep right now?
For being asleep, -3.
Alright. And then, all at once, you can kind of see it cascade across the mound, every one of them perking up and looking in a direction, as Repose himself abruptly snaps upward and is looking in the general direction.
Is this what anime characters mean when they sense something?
What was that noise?
That sounds like a chief. That sounds like, for a very brief moment you think it is Chief, but no, Chief isn't that loud anymore. He's too old. That's like young, vigorous Chief when you were a kid noises.
And proposes. Just at a very deliberate pace, shuffling out with some more of the miscellaneous cats just kind of dangling off of him along for the ride.
Several of them from, well, like most of the house is following out at this point because they just want to be near Tall Friend and also figure out what in the hell is happening. And then when the swarm sees the cat in particular on Angler's hand, a bunch of them just kind of bolt while others kind of stop and stay back to watch. As Repose doesn't really fully recognize her, but he recognizes this cat as one of the troublemakers. But this level of violence is new from her. But as Yang intuited, this is a cat that wakes up every morning and chooses violence.
Hello, my brother. I say while I'm pouring disinfectant into a wash basin. I brought you a gift for your birthday, and I dunked my fucking face in the disinfectant wash basin. That's so good!
Pure alcohol. Yeah, okay, that answered my question.
He's still high on opiates. He can barely feel it.
It still stings enough to have a scream underwater of the disinfectant. Just, I'm good. And the disinfectant is now solid red, like it is a bucket of blood, as the cuts still begin to slowly dribble blood down after they have been disinfected. That's going to be a lot of patching up to do. That is actually, several of those are just now gouges down into the muscle. Wow, okay.
And Repose will go ahead and with a very practiced couple of motions, let's go ahead and harden up the skin of his hand. And just prepare to confront the anger.
How can I help you with this? Do you need me to hold it, or what do you want me to do?
Well, Repose is just going to get into the old fighting stance. And begin slowly and deliberately brandishing hand around inside of cat, allowing cat to follow movement.
Yang falls to the floor and then looks at this interaction and goes, "This is my plan all along. He'll kick your ass even if I won't." Ow!
Moat comes over and kind of sniffs Repose's right shin, which is now completely soaked in blood and the pant leg completely shredded to ribbons, before trotting up to Yang's head and staring and just kind of looking understanding but disappointed. But the young cat looks over at the hand from Repose, and her eyes are still super dilated. Repose could probably see some of the bits of catnip still embedded in the fur, as her eyes are all the way out and drool is just coming out of her mouth as she's like trying to chew through this metal gauntlet, and then sees hand, flesh, hand, blah! And clings to your entire front forearm and hand, and puts one of your fingers halfway down her throat as she's trying to bite it off.
And Repose just clamps down firmly in the grip that he has been provided. Brings in the other hand to secure it. You scruff over the neck. It probably just leans down and gives a little kiss on the face. Just a little boop.
This just deep irritation slowly ebbing down as Angler and Yang can see this cat suddenly realizes, oh wait, hang on. Oh, it's you. Just slowly ebbing down, not in a way of like accepting the affection in any sort of happy way, of just more, you're the bosses, and like chief, authorities. Very just kind of going from howling and yowling and screaming and swiping to just a slow, menacing, constant like subvocal yowl.
And the cat just gets brought up. You're very close to face. And just given in response just one very quick, sharp, quiet little hiss. So just like, yep.
As Repose holds the cat up to the face, the scent. You smell your flock of sheep on this cat. Specifically, your old specific breed of sheep, the kind you tended as a child, is the smell is hanging off of this cat.
Well, between noting that and noticing that there is not more blood than can be accounted for by Yang, I think Repose can fill in the dots there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the cat's completely untouched.
And he eases up a little with the hand on the back. Gives a bit of a still like controlling but firm pet.
The
On the back of
moment
this
that,
cat.
the moment that there is any sort of release, the cat would spring out with the back legs and just scuttle off into a corner.
And off you go then. Release her in the general direction of the Abbess's residence. Good cat.
So,
And just take the moment to start, cleaning off arm. Arm that is, like, scuffed and chipped, but otherwise fine.
not bleeding. Yeah. Mode is kind of sympathetically licking the forepaw and paw of the same arm. Before just kind of looking over at Yang, flicking a tail, and looking around and wandering around Yang, looking for an uninjured part to very gently head bump.
You're one of the cool ones. You know that, Moat? Anyways, I'm gonna go in a coma for about 6 hours.
So why did you let it claw you?
Yang's asleep.
I sleep now.
What is a strong
Okay.
word?
Repose is like already snapping together a stretcher to drag Yang on.
It's fine.
Just gonna haul him over to a house. You sleep in a house. Sleep near a house.
Faces grow back.
You sleep over here.
Would it be your house or the residential complexes?
Own house.
Alright, so just immediately deposited in, and in the exhaustion, all of the cats that had been kind of staying back or had run away are immediately just kind of climbing up on Yang. Not on the wounded parts, but just kind of lying on top and beginning to just kind of lie down for a nap and purr.
See, this makes it all worth it.
Well done.
And with that, I think we can skip over to the next day and the beginning of the festivities. Unless anybody else had a last thing to talk about.
Nah.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
So, Repose would probably end up catching up on the rest of the nap and sleep in the residence over the night, as in the dawn is the beginning of the celebration of the birthday, as is this tradition of the sect. as the gate of dawn starts to have the sun's rays go through it and shine upon the cenotaph of the 100,000, the memorial to the dead, and of the entire sect and those that they lost in the contagion, there is a gathering of basically all of the clergy and a lot of the lay folk to meet the dawn. It is quiet, solemn, and respectful. There is a liturgy in Old Realm that Azar pronounces. There's a very set way that this specific part is done, and it is very solemn and quiet and controlled, and giving thanks to Sol Invictus for stewarding another life through another year, giving life and light to even one of the many people in creation. With some additional stuff for the fact that Repose is both a dragon blood and then another additional set of stuff for being the heir. It is about like an hour long thing by the end of it, with all of the ritual done, as the sun is beginning to slip out of the specific kind of notches in the gate that let the light through in the beginning of the day. And when that part is cleared, there is a kind of sudden shift in tone as Azar personally takes her leave from the ceremony, as her role in the Gideon is done and doesn't have much personal interest in what happens next. What happens next is a general kind of almost festival atmosphere comes up around Repose as the clergy and the lay people all come in. For a lot of them, this is one of the only times in the year that they will be able to actually have an extended conversation with Repose about what has happened, what has been happening. Generally, all of just kind of like, hey, you are often not here, and we would like to strengthen our social ties with you. Kind of situation.
Here's Repose, backed into a corner, firmly pinned down by small fuzzy friend.
Yeah, Mode is extremely on the shoulder, but also kind of has the claws a little way out, just like, no, I know this sucks, but it's only for a little while. And it has been enough of these ceremonies at this point that the crowd knows Repose enough to know that Repose is not a huge fan of big social events. For a lot of the other birthdays, especially like the other Dragonbloods that have come and gone, other major members of the clergy, some important members of the lay folk, this basically just kind of turns into a day drinking festival. For Repose, it is much more people giving perfunctory, ceremonial thanks and catching up and then moving on to not pressure, as they've kind of realized after 1 or 2 years went a little bad that maybe it's best to not leverage it on this too much. So the people who end up staying around and trying to get conversations are the ones who really want to catch up or want to hear about Repose's exploits and adventures. And there is a small subset of people that Repose is actually a little surprised to see. And Angler and Obsidian can, having been around the residential complexes at night and seen how people were filing out, it's the people who were in the doors and the rooms that Moat led them to. It is Repose's specific childhood cohort he was being raised with before Exaltation. They normally, again, each birthday they kind of give the perfunctory stuff and move on, as they kind of had an enforced distance put between the two of them. But this year, several of them are coming up and asking more, less like, what cool things have you done? What would you like to do? May the sun be at your back kind of questions, and more just, how are you personally? How is Sam? It is less questions of disrespect or lack of acknowledgement, and more just it has been so long for them that they are there has been a kind of pent up desire to they kind of miss you from the scene from the scene of it.
And there is, as this is starting, a bit of a look over the shoulder to be sure that Azar has in fact finished clearing the scene.
Yeah, she would be over by the tomb.
And Repose kind of slumps over, letting out a lot of air, and just to begin with, kind of shrugs.
They remember. They remember growing up with you.
There is a lot of vague gesticulating and body language, and not a lot of the verbosity that others have probably come to expect from Repose while he's out doing business. There's a lot of Sam was a very quiet, furtive, and elusive lad who was easily misplaced. Would often slink away unless very carefully monitored or obligated to be up to something specific.
And there is a degree of giving that space, of giving that acknowledgement. And then one of the group steps forward, kind of adjusting the top of his robe with something behind his back. Sam, I know this might be a little childish, but I figured, things have been difficult lately for a lot of us, especially you going out and being the soldier of creation to protect all of us. And I know that this is something that is kind of perhaps a little silly of me, but I went back into some of the storage, and we had some of the extra effigies for the upcoming birthday celebrations for the children, and some of them would not end up being used for a while, and I thought it would be nice to just relive a nicer time for a little bit, as he pulls out behind his back a set of 3 small effigies, and Repose instantly recognizes them as part of the old kind of pre-coming of age ceremony celebrations. They are they're kind of like piñatas in the sense that they are ritual effigies that you smash, and there are usually some sort of gift inside, but the 3 effigies are a spider, a multicolored lion, and a ape painted red. And they are representative of the 3 forms of the creatures of darkness that the vigil is set against. It is the Raksha is the multicolored lion, spider represents the undead via the weaver, and a blood ape. And it's just a simple gesture of, even we may be grown, but look, it might be just fun to relive a nicer moment.
Repose has already found rope from somewhere and is just getting it coiled up in hand and ready to
It can go over to just one of, probably one of the awnings or one of the support beams of a building, just tie it up, and with the staff of the sect in hand rather than a stick, it feels a little weird, but at the same time, kind of feels right. Feels like catching up on lost time. Just a set of solid wax, as though using Janissary style detonates.
It goes through the practice motions, but around and then into a pinata.
Yeah. And with each detonation, there is, instead of the usual kind of perishable sweets and things like that for the usual kid stuff or little scraps of literature, there instead something else falls out. It is a small set of handmade little kind of reliquaries, but not with the dead in them. It is kind of like pre-reliquaries, just as a way of, as you pick them up and realize that these are reliquaries for each of your friends that you grew up with, that they made, they are technically being saved for when they die, and they are gifting them to you to preserve.
Yeah, in character, very prolonged
Yeah, I figured this was an actual in character, just kind
and
of.
odd. Just he is not sure how to react to this.
The one, the layperson who walked up with the effigies just kind of walks up and bows his head again. You took time when the abbess wouldn't to help with my name burial ritual, and this is the smallest I can do to express my thanks. I think that the vigil is going to be in good hands with you at the head of it in the future.
Alright, this is definitely most dragged out of repose. The main reasoning for the separation and distancing being something wise to do in the first place, of like, okay, these are your friends, except, okay, you're a dragon now. That this is confirmation then that unless you grievously fuck up at your own life, you will have to bury each of these people.
Yep. And when you look in their eyes with that thought in their mind, all you see back is comfort in that idea.
When it is time.
It is. There's a kind of awkward bow to not impose too much deeper, and then a step back. Thank you.
Be sure that in that time, I've no shortage of good things to say of each of you. To those who follow.
Thank you.
And almost inaudible whisper back as well of just, thanks.
Moat gives a head bump to Repose and a slow blink over.
Well, I'll have to find somewhere to arrange these.
So the rest of the day, traditionally, is generally just kind of... If Repose did not already have enforced party mode and relaxation mode, this is what birthdays are for in Choice. You are off the clock, you can just do what you want today. And the day can pass as Repose is going around doing as he sees fit, and the others can, assist, commingle with the rest of the clergy and the
In keeping with his way of doing things, Repose is going to be making the rounds of the town and positively interacting with everybody indirectly.
Mm-hmm.
He's going around and checking up on people's houses, on the parts of the streets that are paved,
Right.
checking on the wells, checking on the mill, going to see his bees.
The bees are happy.
Bees are happy.
At some point during this, Milan is going to approach Repose.
Okay.
Approach, just
Yeah, probably at some point out in the village.
not much is said, just presents a box. Happy birthday, brother.
Very gentle, delicate, accepting of Box, looking at Box, looking back at Milan, looking back at Box. How nice of a box is this?
Let me find out. Or success is worth a box.
That's a quite nice
Handmade.
box. Repose might be looking at this thinking that the box itself is the gift. That's where the gag goes at this point. He's sizing it up, appraising it, just thinking very approvingly.
It's a nice box.
Starting to whisper small compliments at the workmanship, pointing out to Moat various signs of tool marks.
Moat just
How the
side-eyeing
thing is
Repose. Side-eyeing Repose as he's doing this, and then looking over to Milan, just kind of half-lidded eyes of like, should I just... Or...
Silent nod to Moat.
Moat very gently reaches out to the box and just like with a single extended claw tips the lid up a little bit to show that there is some form of shape inside of it.
Moment of silence for that. Rose carefully takes off lid of box, places lid entirely over Moat.
Moat doesn't even move. There's just kind of a flick
Into
of the
cat
tail.
jail with you.
Just a flick of the tail and just like, yeah, I earned this.
And inside there is a small carving amateurishly painted, but meant well, carving of Moat in cat pounce form.
Mid pounce at the bird in the incident.
Used to represent mid pounce at demon.
Yes. The actual result of the bird/demon is a bit up to interpretation of the viewer.
With a bit of a jolt of the shoulder, Repose lowers the lid of the box, dumps Moat into the lid of the box, and then holds them up for side-by-side comparison.
Moat looks over to the statue, kind of nosing at it. It's a smaller scale representation, and again, it's not a master craftsman's work, but you could actually look at it and then look to Moat and go, yeah, that's the same cat.
An even smaller Moat than Moat.
Moat just kind of sniffs at it, just kind of like, what? And then looks back over Milan, just a very kind of head tilt of like, huh. Looks back at the statue, gives it a nose poke again.
And
Ears
at this,
flick.
Milan will say, I have been practicing my crafts.
And moving. I know where
Final.
this goes, and there's an abrupt. It's kind of zooping off back to the compound.
What? Moat is not expecting to go into full jog while being held.
And then just back at Repose's cabin, up on the rafter that Moat likes to lounge on. Repose just secures the sculpture to the beam.
Yang is awakened by the sound of fixing wood against wood.
Oh. Okay.
4 or 5 cats jump off of Yang in surprise at the sudden movement.
Ah, damn. How many are on me?
About 3 still. Most of the ones on your chest bolted.
I'm gonna start petting them.
They purr appreciatively. Most
Well,
of
this
your
is my
wounds,
morning.
most of your wounds have sealed already because of dragon blooded healing. You have
What do you-
some.
What are you doing? Did the house break?
Repose will step back down from his handiwork and just let it speak for itself.
Oh, that's adorable.
Milan made this.
Huh.
It captures the motion well.
Yeah. That looks like Moat.
Mo can now sit up there on the rafter and look at a statue of himself.
Extreme, just
And while Moat is away, others have a reminder of whose beam this is.
Mine. The mode is just like, but this is mine. But the other, what? Right? Oh wait, right. Abstract representations. Right. Has to fill the whole. As Morgan made the joke, Modus hadn't thought about statues that resemble him.
Moat arrives at the conclusion that the problem is that it doesn't smell like him yet, and just starts rubbing up against it.
Rubbing all over it to put the scent on.
Very accurate.
So otherwise, the other element of the ritual of birthday for the sect, especially for most, it would be mostly the morning, and there would be a perfunctory observation at dusk with some of the ancestors and the ghosts coming up. For Repose, it is considerably more involved, as he is the heir of the sect. As dusk begins to fall, the hearth in its entirety, Repose primarily, but the heart is invited if they want to participate, as, you know, it's a brotherhood transcend usual secrecy, to enter the tomb of the Grand Abbess for another visit down to the ancestral crypts in the Great Below.
Other note I would have on the day before we get over to that. There would have been a follow-up visit to Repose's flock, where he has a story for where he salvaged almost all of these sheep from. He found this one 3 years ago, just tangled in a bush, whining. It had been there for days. This one was just in a ditch and didn't seem to have anything wrong with it. It had just given up.
What's it
So he
say?
picked it up and brought it home.
And immediately fell back in the ditch another time before really getting the message.
Just at least once a year, he will find a sheep in distress and retrieve it.
Technically, these belong to other people's flocks, but they're just so lost and confused, and Repose happens upon them, and well, it's my sheep now. I take care of this one.
Laurenthan rules about ownership of herds are very, very, they're pretty lax.
Yep.
Oh, and I don't
It's
mean
an-
like just from being around town. Like while he's out on adventure patrol, he will find sheep.
You find a couple of sheep while doing your rounds. Like, when you check the well, you just kind of hear a distant... Just look down, and 15
believe it.
feet down, there is a wad of sheep just down there. You have to haul it out with the bucket.
That was your problem. You're drinking sheep water. What?
No wonder it tastes like mutton.
The good news is this one is very clean.
Yeah, Repose has now gotten the open world game collectible of its sheep.
Entire sheep.
Most of the flock is actually just wild breeds of sheep that look over and go, that's a better life, actually. You know, what if we just go back? That guy seems cool. God. So, yeah, as dusk is falling in the night, the rays of the setting sun are passing through the gate into the tomb of the abbess through the hole, or the windows at the top, just kind of casting an ethereal light through the tomb as everybody else is gathering, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd probably show up.
What are we doing? Should we be
Perfect.
killing someone?
Looks at Repose.
That is the
For this-
response. Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
For the sake of having the group in the same spot, I'm going to have Old Man invited along, just kind of invited.
Nah, I'm good.
What if I told you I needed you here?
I know that that's completely not the case.
No, we need you. Everybody needs to be there.
This is for Repose.
Repose will
Not part
gladly
of the
accept
hearth.
the gift of the old man's absence.
Yeah. Old man's
Alright.
not part of the hearth. What are you talking about? He's not a brother.
Your friend.
Alright.
That's overstating our relationship.
We
Huh?
don't need the old man here.
All right.
Is walking away. Say, I don't think that's overstating it.
Look, if he wants to sulk, let him.
He does what he
man.
do.
Wanders off, just kind of disappearing into the swarm of cats that are just kind of observing Old Man, still trying to figure out what the hell that thing is. It smells like birds now? It didn't used to smell like birds. What's going on?
Moat has spread horrible rumors about the man-birds.
The infestation is spreading.
Strange, mad legends.
First, it was just the weird old guy on the stilt legs, and yeah, it made sense. He just does weird shit. But then the guy with the mustache turned into birds. What if this is a disease? What if it happens to the tall friend? What if tall friend becomes birds?
What if everything is birds? What are
Well-
birds?
We just don't know. But
And we got there.
the descent into the tomb, again, is prefaced with ritual and observance and liturgy in Old Realm. Reciting lineage of acknowledging not only the life in the morning and the passing of days, the fact that this is 1 year closer to when you will join the ranks of the dead, 1 year closer until the inevitable, and 1 year towards the continuation of duty, 1 year towards the further, just the further nature of the sect, and then
The birthday is not as important as the funeral.
yes,
If you want to see a real party in this town, show up for a funeral.
show up for the wakes and the funerals and the pre-funerals. The birthdays are just an excuse to
And
have
the Memorial Days.
Birthdays are just an excuse to have your practice wakes.
Basically, when no external authority is looking, this town has a full calendar of saints' days.
Yep. So the sarcophagus opens and the real shit of the complex opens up. I don't have a whole map for that, but it is a much more twisting, kind of always slightly changing warren of older temple reflections, memories of the older versions of the sect's residences in other areas that have been carried on in memorial or rebuilt from memory. It is just kind of a big, sprawling stack of the lived history of the entire sect all up on top of itself in a chaotic jumble that has been resorted into being a somewhat navigable and understandable pathway, so long as it didn't feel like shifting a little bit today because the underworld got upset. And Azar and Repose are led through the lit passageways of the underworld, which Repose is quite used to this by now. It has been several dozen times at least. The others are still just have the whole body chill of just, I don't belong down here. When the threshold is passed of just, I'm alive and that's backwards in here. There's an uncomfortable feeling of imposition that you can kind of file to the back of your head and kind of ignore, but it's always just kind of sitting there just like, you're not supposed to be here yet. And eventually the group is able to make their way across the compound to the central tomb of the Grand Abbess, combined with the central temple complex of the underworld, which is a much more grand and ornate affair, and go through it and go through the central annex and meeting hall into the ritual chamber, where Repose is met with a familiar set of sights. Second, while I just finish the last bit here, switch the maps. So here is token map. There we go.
Important GMing technique is to prolong descriptions to mask loading time.
Yes. There we go, and switch over. It is a long, kind of funerary columnal hall, and at the far end are 5 of the ghosts of Repose's ancestors. This is nowhere near the full list of the big name ancestors, but these are the ones who are coming to observe. At the forefront, as usual, is the Grand Abbess herself, gently whispered praise. Off to the sides are Baram and Yulan, old heroes from back down towards Prasad in the southwest. Baram dying of a weaponized plague, and Yulan dying in battle against the Raksha. There's Marvelous Jurali in the back, who died a martyr who was burned to death by the Immaculates for refusing to recant while a mendicant priest, and when his ancestor worship was revealed, basically said, "What are you going to do about it? Kill me? And, well, they did. And it did about as little as he was worried about. And then there's Crimson Ashes in the back, who is one of the most successful killers of anathema in the history of the sect. With a very long list of mostly Raksha and the undead behind him. He was most noteworthily active back in the days of the Old South, and actually managed to die of old age. He was that good. So this is a fairly impressive list of names to meet you for this meeting. Azar bows her head in respect to the ancestors.
Cause of death old is either a very personal embarrassment or an astoundingly powerful flex, depending on who you are.
Yep.
Undefeated.
Yep.
Cause of death, retirement.
Mm-hmm. Gently Whisper Pays just kind of gives a slight nod to Azar before looking to repose. Another year gone by, and certainly a more active year than the past few, hasn't it been?
I see pausing for a long period of time runs in the family.
So there is
And
more
questioning whether I said that in character or not. No, this is
Good starter, buddy.
This is an important thing. I wouldn't be that snarky.
You might mutter it to somebody else at most.
I say that too.
This
I
is
say
why
that
you
to
need
Angler.
to. This is why you need a
elbows you as
phone.
hard as you can in the ribs.
It hurts. You.
Dang, activate the body
Damn
language
it.
conference
Damn
call so that everyone can just kind of talk among themselves during the festival. During the
Fine.
observance.
All
Everyone
throughout
just stand
this-
in a window.
All throughout this, Milana is just going, shh, 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 even though it's all in the codec call.
All right, so for repose, there is actually a pretty quick and curt response to being addressed. We're back in formal zone. There are observances to do. Something that gets around eventually to the point of another year, your grandson endures in your name.
Of course. Now, she says, kind of gently rubbing her chin a little bit. There are the usual ritual observances we could make, but this is a rather unusual year, so I believe that a different curriculum may be called for than the tradition. After all, we could sit here and we could recite the lists of your ancestors and the lists of the sect and use them as a bolstering in the deeds of what you are doing now, but what you are doing now is, frankly, unprecedented. In the land of the living, there is more of an interaction with the land of the dead than there has been in a very long time. And few of it for the best. In that regard, I do have several things that I would like to discuss and bestow upon you. First of all, I would like to thank you for your ongoing services. They have been beyond what I could ask for. Your hearth, managing to destroy two of the direct emissaries of the Weaver upon the Loom of Flesh, and, from the sounds of things, considerably thwart whatever machinations of the Weaver's own allies and assistants in less than half a year. That is to be commended deeply. The other ancestors kind of nod along with that. Baram steps up for a brief moment. His face is covered in yellow, bold pustules in a strangely geometric pattern that at first glance looks almost artificial until you realize it is along the meridians of his body that became infested and grew out into cysts and killed him. It was one of the plagues of one of the servants of the Weaver that struck me down, and when I heard that you were going into battle against his elementals, I worried that we would be welcoming you to our ranks far too soon. And to hear that you stood against not only one of the corrupted beings of water, but an army alongside it, was surprising, and worthy of commendation in my personal view of things. After all, he kind of gestures to himself. When I did such a thing, it did not end nearly as well for me. You have a strong hearth at your back. Just kind of takes a step back as well, as his own piece is done. Praise looks back to the others who just kind of just scan and see if they have any personal information before looking back to Repose. There is a diplomatic matter of some sensitivity that I had been waiting to discuss with you until we were in a situation like this. You may recall the message that I received from the Nefrak under service of the Tyrant, and his disrespect to me in leaving. I received a rather curious missive recently, not in the form of a letter, in the form of a direct petition from the Nefrak itself at the border of our domain, petitioning for forgiveness in exchange for information. Not forgiveness of his existence, that is, even in its own twisted mind, I believe, I realized it realized that would be too far of an ask, but forgiveness of the transgression of hospitality and permission to approach again to speak with us, specifically to speak with you and your hearth. Repose, looking at the four powerful and aged martyrs behind Praise, suddenly gets an idea of why the big goon squad might be here.
Well, there's definitely frustrated, grinding stone sounds from Repose standing there. However, he was mostly back into his usual state of mind, so there was a very even reply. It can be said that in my time I have yet to see that being intrude upon the world of its own accord. If it has, on each occasion, been called forth at the behest of others, from whatever semblance of peace such creatures could still hope to attain. The old law is plain in such matters. If we'd like a chance to forfeit those rights, or to uphold the principles on which they are given, bit of stewing on that, bit of nodding, bit of mulling over internally. Yes. For my part, I would accept this approach.
Very well, Gray says.
It is fitting to extend the hand of peace to those who wish it, and if they choose to bite it, we know what follows.
Azar has just been very quiet this whole conversation with balled up fists and a very rigid posture, but nods to that statement for praise, sighing and looking up, and then down, and then out. Formally forgive the trespasses of the Nephrak that visited upon our vigil and cordially invite them into our presence to discuss whatever matters it means to discuss with us. And with that, there is an instant drop of like 10 degrees in the room as it gets colder.
Is that good?
There is a feeling behind you as the stomach just sinks and the darkness at the far end of the hall towards the entrance just starts to pull together and pull up into the silhouette of the tattered, flayed ghost before it starts to reveal itself as the darkness bleeds away and steps forward, remaining at a distance, but a present distance. Its flayed lips are peeled back into a rictus grin that somehow grows a little bit further apart. Eyes and eyelids peeled open muscle glistening with blood, as the skin just flaps behind it like a mantle and a cape, hanging mostly off the spine. And it steeples its clawed fingers together and bows deeply at the waist. I am deeply grateful for the forgiveness in this matter, and I promise to uphold the hospitality of my hosts as best as I am able to. And considering recent developments, I am considerably more able to uphold that hospitality than I was in my first visits. First of all, I would like to extend a more formal introduction of myself to the hearth and to those assembled. My name? Well, I am 108 Regrets, clinging to the precipice of oblivion. And it is my pleasure to meet you all in person properly.
The hearth conversation is going to get the feeling of a big jack-off motion from Milan at that name.
From Obsidian. Are all their names that fucking long?
Yes. Also, the immediate response that would be understood from Repose is, yeah, I'll give you 109.
The Nephrak jaw clicks as the smile is just, it can't tell what you are saying in the Hearth network, but it can tell that it is, well, getting under your skin. And even if it is here on a actually, possibly, truly diplomatic mission, it is still an FRAC. It is still enjoying being gross and nasty and an emissary of non-existence.
It's a Cenobite. It's very polite about the fact that it's here to do horrible things.
Yes.
Being horrible is no reason to be rude.
Exactly. It unsteeples the claws and holds them out to its sides, kind of palms up in an open gesture. I apologize again for my more adversarial behaviors in our prior meetings, as when we first met, I was under a rather strict binding, you might understand. Directly imposed upon me by the Mask of Winters, I might add, as something that would be rather hard to strain against. After that meeting, and after your rather impressive fight against me and sending me back with considerably more wounding than I expected, and a discussion with my master at the time about the circumstances of why I was sent back and the tragic loss of Rancorous Dirge, which again I must thank you for, personally, even if it was not directly in my regard to do that. I was bound more directly to the tyrant himself, rather than the mask, as the mask understood that no matter how tight his bindings were, there was room for interpretation when it had such of remove. Unfortunately, this worked rather well. I was unable to fight against the will of the Ruby Gauntlet tyrant nearly as effectively as I was against the Mask, as the Mask was rather indirect with his commands, and the tyrant was much more of a micromanager. At first, I was entertained by the tyrant's attempts to play back and forth between two of the Death Lords, like going to the Mask, his original domitor, and claiming to serve him and his goals, and then scurrying off to speak with the Weaver, who I hardly need to tell any of you how little his political ambitions stretch out to the underworld. It's rather a meeting of opposites, don't you imagine? But this amusement and curiosity soon grew to concern. The Weaver's strengths are many, but the motives of others have never been something he has been particularly interested in. Very solipsistic, very focused upon his own research and how things can benefit him in particular. He was only really willing to loan out the 4 elementals to the tyrant in exchange for certain promises that were exchanged, and though my bond may be broken at this point, certain elements of it are still posthumously intact. My bond, to skip forward and explain why I'm being able to be so upfront about this to you, is broken as a result of, frankly, murderous frustration. There is only so far you can push a binding before it snaps. There are only so many humiliating duties that one can be forced to attend to before the repressed ego is able to bite back. And I believe that my former master of the Ruby Hand understood this and yet did not actually care. After all, if he was truly worried about me reaching out to you, why wouldn't he be here to stop me? And I certainly would not be here asking hospitality if I knew he would be on my trail, would I? That would be a violation to knowingly lead an enemy of yours into your own home who has no respect for that hospitality. In truth, I dare say I don't actually know where he is right now. Although I do have certain hunches. Again, there's that popping at the back of the jaw smile before settling back in.
Hey, folks who have a lot of read intentions dice, would you like to
Let's
Hey, yeah.
just scan
up.
these statements a little bit, pop open the old Phoenix Wright menu, think about what to press,
pop the neck. All right, let's see what I can do.
scroll back and forth between the skin's various poses?
All right, my read intentions say I can do this, so let's do this.
Okay. So what precisely are you looking for, just to be sure?
Oh, I knew there was something I wasn't in.
What do we as a group want to get out of this?
Remember, if you have multiple read intentions rolls, you can do multiple angles.
All right.
Oh
so I
yeah, what
think
is the read
I'll-
intentions actually?
I
Let's
want to
socialize.
With socialize.
I'm gonna do my re-intentions against with like the usual modifiers of it, so the guaranteed 2 successes against any
Intimacies that would be willing to
Yes.
bend and tell you the truth, yes.
Why is this asshole actually here?
Alright. So that's Obsidian's question. Milan?
Mine is in regards to his connection with Ruby Tyrant. Is this connection shattered, or is he withholding something? Because it seemed like he was Geese. the geese that was binding him has been broken.
As far as you can tell, it is being very truthful about having the bindings shattered. If it was not shattered and it was saying stuff like this, it would probably be in the middle of falling apart or vomiting.
In that
vomiting bugs.
case, I'm trying to figure, because I'm throwing 14 dice here. I'm trying to figure out what's some good information I want to figure out.
Oh, I thought you had already rolled, but yeah. If
I have not pressed the button yet.
All right, for my part, I will contribute a modest die pool to checking on verifying Regret's disdain for being summoned. That is the main point that Repose is preparing to evaluate this whole creature over.
Okay, go ahead.
The stance of, okay, it is bad that these things exist, but if any of them is willing to just kind of stay in their hole and be weird away from others, that's acceptable.
Okay, I know what Milan's looking for.
Okay.
So,
What
are you in
is-
fact? Just the one.
What does 108 Regrets want out of this scene? What does he
Okay.
want out of meeting us?
Go ahead and roll. So far what you have is, yes, the binding is shattered. Newbie, could you repeat your question?
It was also similar. It was why is he here?
Why is he here? Okay.
Actually, it isn't. Why is he here? What does he actually want? Because I immediately just feel like he's lying through his teeth.
He wants to backstab his former boss. He hates them more than he hates you right now.
All right.
Workable.
And Milan gets a read on this simultaneously with that many successes. There is 2 primary goals that Skinman has right now. Number 1 is Skinman was not kidding. The only thing that broke that binding was how much he fucking hated working under these people and how much he fucking hated what he was made to do and just wanted to not be in control.
And that, folks, is why when you bind something to do a job, you bind the thing that is supposed to do that job.
You don't
Swear to
just
God,
keep summoning the thing whose name you know.
The second thing under the surface is a simmering malice for the group, the Hearth in particular. It's here to push buttons, but not break the hospitality. It is very mindful of not breaking hospitality and giving you all an excuse to kill it, but it is absolutely here to needle you and push your buttons while giving you more actionable information against its employer, former employer. This thing is just bitter and hateful and spiteful and just you have the energy of somebody who actually followed through on the threat of I will fucking quit this job and go to the fucking I will walk out of this job and go straight to their competitor and give them trade secrets. I don't give a fuck anymore. That is the energy right here.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
I feel like we can.
yeah, after I got my re-intentions, I would just say over our coded call. Yeah, we extremely have an enemy of our enemy situation here.
And Loon, what you were
And
saying?
yeah, all right. So I feel like we can allow monologue to continue if there is more monologue to be had.
Oh yeah, there was. And also you wanted to chime in and ask anything.
Milan.
I got one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello?
You were muted, I'm afraid.
All right, let's try that again. Is helping him going to be worse for us in the long run because we're going to give him a power or weapon that will allow him to turn around and kill us? Like, is he immediately going to backstab us as soon as we help him? Did that come through? Okay, yeah.
The feeling you get is less that he is angling you for a backstab on principle, more of the idea of just don't show your back to him on principle because he's probably going to take the shot if he sees it and thinks that he can get away with it. But this is not a setup. This is, I mean, if you show me your spine, I will rip it out, but like, I'm not actually here for that right now. I want you to do something for me that does not involve you being betrayed. I want you, like, he wants something out of you that involves you not getting murdered.
I'm a scorpion, Lamau.
Yes.
And Milan's going to relay that he still harbors hatred for us, and he's not going to break the peace agreement, but he's going to do everything he can to needle at us and get under our skin.
It's normal.
So get under his skin. Quick, Yang, talk.
Get under his skin.
You sure
that'll
got
be
plenty
easy.
of it.
Yeah, that'll be pretty easy. It's
baby.
flapping out behind him.
Slide right in there. Ugh.
Just
I
slurp
touched
right
it.
in.
I just
Yang is gonna
His skin
Yang
has
is
a
gonna
20-meter
exhale
effective
very
reach.
slowly. He's gonna blow the biggest cotton cloud in his life. Stare directly at the whatever the fuck this is and go, sorry, I didn't pay attention. Who are you?
It does not particularly matter. My name, again, is 108 Regrets Clinging to the Precipice of Oblivion.
What are they?
Oh, you know, simple things. Charity.
No, they're regrets.
Yes. Charity.
How is charity a
Kindness.
regret?
They are the things keeping me on this side of non-existence. After all, fear, attachments, fetters, isn't that what keep all of us here?
No, what the fuck are you talking about?
He's actually, when he says that, speaking past you to the ghosts at the back of the room. And they are all just kind of gritting their teeth, but just like, yeah, this is what they do. But then goes back to kind of looking more towards Repose in particular as I was saying, the particulars of my rather humiliating services, I must say, I must thank you and condemn you at the same time for the circumstances that led me here. After all, if it were not for your intervention, I would not have my bonds broken. But were it not for you handing them such a useful asset, I would not have been in the position to get so frustrated.
Hey, I have a question.
Hmm?
Were you the dude that sent that letter to that one dumbass?
Oh no. No, I am not. I am not the source of those letters. That is a conversation for another day and another source.
Hey, I have a follow-up question.
Hmm?
How'd you know there were more than one letter?
I've been working at the hand of Tyrant this whole time, haven't I? Until
Oh yeah, it's all he. That's all he has. It's all the only fucking thing he has about him is the hand, right?
you would be surprised.
Gauntlet this, gauntlet that. Is it really a ruby?
Red jade, actually.
Liar.
Turns back to repose. You see, after your intervention in the Wild Pocket and your message as the final heart-to-heart you had with, I believe his name was Upstanding Oak,
Unbending oak.
he actually deliberately got that one wrong.
That's fine. I'm not
yeah.
here to correct him or
Yeah.
anything.
It seems that you failed to take into account that of all of the interactions that Oak had with the many parties that interacted with him in his life, the only one to show him any kindness was my master, Tyrant. Tyrant was the one who gave him the secret to break the curse that was laid upon him by heaven. Why would he have any reason to turn around and bite the hand that tried to pull him out of the pit? Why would he go and serve your cause when you're the ones who ruined his chances? And so, when he descended into the underworld, he went directly into our hands. You couldn't have been a more effective agent of our assistance if you had been trying, frankly. Just kind of a pop again. Unfortunately, the nature of Oak's dabbling in sorcery and breaking of the boundaries and the rings transcended death and carried into the underworld and transferred into the practice of necromancy. And my master saw a much more useful and far less ungrateful servant in front of him that you handed him, and tasked me to train the thing that would replace me.
Heh.
Good.
I'm gonna win carried words to old man. Hey, Oak fucked up again.
You can't actually do that. You are in another plane of existence.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
How is Repose reacting to this so far, by the way?
Mixed. There is a background level of ready to strike that kind of drowns out a lot of other acute reactions he would have right now.
Frankly, I
Actually,
would say...
for his own part, though, he will win carried actually to Azar. So that is how they are made.
She just kind of nods almost imperceptibly.
Can't change the past, can only move forward. And oh hey, we have useful, actionable intel about Draculas. One of the big things they have on the world right now is that no one knows what the fuck they are.
Can
We
I
have battle data.
Can I read intentions with a stunt?
Go ahead.
Is this dude just making it up as he goes like I do?
What would the stunt be? Or is it like specifically using your own logic?
Like same hat, basically. Just like, are you just me but dumb?
Go on. Go ahead and roll with a 1 dice stunt.
Are you just kind of seeing what happens by fucking around and finding out?
You can't tell. This has the practice. This has a practiced feeling.
So it's still a performance of some sort.
It's a performance of some sort, but you don't know if it's a lie. It is certainly just... You think that this thing has being hammy in its bones, is what you're reading.
That was a fair point out of the audience. It would be up in the air whether he means new Dracula or if he has just become a Nefrak as well.
Yeah, that is... I deliberately left that vague.
That remains to be determined. But Repose is clicking in on that. Well, yeah, surely. That's in line with his prior suspicions he established of, are you recruiting Draculas? Also, Nephrax just kind of happen on their own. They don't need a lord's approval to become attuned with the void.
They don't, but at the same time, it said it was training, not approving. Like, the insinuation was he
This raises
immediately
more questions.
Yeah.
But having
So-
more questions is a kind of learning.
The Nephrak just kind of leans in. The final humiliation was when I was going to be subordinated to Oak. Have the binding passed down to this new upstart Shade. And that was the final straw. If I had to guess, that was a test on behalf of the tyrant as to whether or not I would tolerate that, and I did not. And I made my displeasure with the matter abundantly clear. Not in as permanent a manner as I would have hoped, but we don't get everything we want now, do we? And I was exiled from his presence, and have been returned to what I prefer as being my own controller of how I will approach the day that I cast myself into the below. As you can clearly see, I still have the regrets of anger, frustration, spite, hatred, humiliation. These are but a handful of the emotions that I am still attempting to purge before I find myself ready to embrace the nothingness.
I want to roll. This is going to be real bad. A manipulation at him.
Okay?
So he lasered you. And if that's not the case, try to trick out, okay, what did he do? What did Tyrant do in their breakup?
Okay, 2 dice stunt, manipulation, socialize. Manipulation, yeah, socialize.
Yeah, manipulation, because I'm deliberately trying to trick information out of him.
Yeah.
So he gave you the beam.
And 1 sec, let me look at a charm to see if that's relevant. Wish I had sorted these. Okay, reroll essence, non-one failed dice. Okay. So I can reroll 3 non-one fails.
Mhm. Four fours is very death appropriate, though.
Okay. So it gave you the beams.
Do you think I would still be here if that happened?
Old man's still here.
Your old man is an aberration.
Gestures at the skin man.
More so.
It sounds like you need to try harder.
It just kind of shakes its head at that. No, I was given a much more direct set of orders and insinuations as to make myself scarce, and I did not need much encouragement to leave, as I quite wanted to. The issue being that I am now left to my own devices once more, unbound, and able to go back to my private meditations, and yet my association with the tyrant may come back to haunt me in a sense, as his long-term plans are grandiose. He stands to bring a considerable amount of attention upon this region, especially upon this region of the Land of the Dead, should he even remotely get close to what he wants. And judging from the timetable of when he was planning before I left, it would be right about now that he would likely be attempting to break the seal on Gonzota to get armaments.
On what now? No, that's to the hearth.
The Gem
Amethyst.
Fortress.
Gemfort.
Right. Wait. The
Crystal Zone. We
amethyst.
passed by. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Recall that it was a completely untouched bastion of Lookshai's weaponry that froze in place that no one could touch.
Also to the hurt. But wouldn't the weapons be amethyst? Wouldn't they be worthless?
There is a constant stream of bleeped out swearing coming from Angler at this point.
Regrets just kind of tilts his head and leans in with a smirk across the little bits of the lips that have left. You see, there are certain elements that are far more resilient to calcification and conversion via the artifice of the First Age. Things such as war striders.
Yep, that's just great.
It's quite likely that he has already absconded with them by now, at the time you've gotten this message. Unfortunately, I was hoping that you would have come back from your previous arrangements a little faster, but what can you do?
Hold on, read attentions on that to see if he's just fucking with us.
Yes. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yes, that's just 3 successes.
Oh, he is absolutely lying through his teeth about this one. This plan was actually put into advance probably at least a week or two ago. There was no shot of you coming back in time.
Okay,
This was
I thought as much.
This was all possible threats to this going off are gone, and then go for it. Hey, like Sun and Sybil were distracted, you were gone. Everybody else was paranoid about the 100 Kingdoms. Nobody's looking over at Gonzoda. Time to smash and grab and run.
You know, Obsidian, we were probably pretty close to Gonzoda when this happened.
Well,
Is
no,
that-
we wouldn't have been at all.
You would have passed by the coast that you could have walked in on. It would have been still several miles inland.
But also, they said like a week ago.
Yeah.
I guess like
Yeah,
maybe
they waited
when the
until
boat was
after
going.
you'd gone by.
They don't know where we are.
Also true.
It was just more of a happenstance, like, huh, we were close, but we wouldn't have known.
Yep. The combinations of the unique abilities of Oak with the unique abilities of my former Domator were the ones that allowed them to, through methods that they unfortunately did not share with me, or else I would be very open about that in order to backstab them, I am not familiar with. However, from what little I would understand, it would have required turning off whatever field was perpetuating the effect around Gonzota, so it should now be safe to approach and appraise. And I believe there will be value in that, as they will have left considerable amounts of materiel behind, and if they had wanted to commit to a fuller looting of it, will have been doing so over time, and possibly have left behind a rear guard that you may be able to get information out of.
So
Now,
let me make sure I've got this right. You want us to go to the redoubt, fight our way through whatever rear guard is there, pick up whatever information possible, and then just leave it completely bare to someone like you to come in afterwards, correct?
what on earth do I have to care about a bunch of weapons on the living side of the world? I have nothing to do or want with the land of the living. I want nothing more than to cease on my terms, on my conditions. And if I had been left to my own devices, I would have been happily attempting to discard my fetters to the living world. And so, why on earth would I want to pick up more?
ignoring that last part then, everything up to allowing you to get weapons, was that correct?
Wait,
Largely.
so you're
Okay.
trying to leave?
I am
Right.
trying to purify myself so that I can enter oblivion and be purified and erased in a total manner, leaving no trace behind.
Why?
Why wouldn't you? Look at the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah,
Look at
it's fine. These mountains, it's pretty. They got weed. That's nice. Cats exist. That's pretty cool.
I see that I will be speaking to a brick wall in your case, and I shall not bother.
I mean, if you want to, like, stop existing, that's fine. Just why don't you?
Because if I do so, while I still have attachments to the world above, there is an outside chance that I will not cease so totally as to cease.
So you don't want to cease then because you have attachments.
Not yet.
Well, do you or don't you?
It is an ongoing process to liberate myself spiritually until I am ready.
Well, what if you get more attachments? You gonna liberate those?
Yes.
So when does it end? What if you? I mean, shouldn't you just sit in a box and not think anymore? If you like, why are you here? If you want to liberate yourself, it feels like you're gonna get attached to something. This feels very contrarian to your entire nature.
Finally, Yang is doing this to someone else. Yes! Yes, Tavarish!
So, like, why not just go in a corner and pout until you stop, instead of coming out here and ruin my fucking evening?
That was what I was attempting to do before.
Well, then go do it! Get out!
Before the mask bound me, and at this point, one of my attachments left is spite, and I will savor that one as long as I have.
So you do want to stay around because you like spite! I don't get you!
It just kind of shrugs at that. It actually seems completely unbothered by this argument.
I mean, like, it's like Yang's academically fascinating now more than anything else. It's just like, what is your deal?
Wouldn't you want to not engage in spite if you want to disengage yourself from the world? Because
Yeah,
it's
why
what
don't
you like.
like if you
give
keep getting
up on
spite,
your-
like, is there like a quota where eventually you'll have enough spite and you'll have been satisfied? Do you want
This is the
satisfaction?
only time I regret old man not being there.
This is why I
He
want
gets
you
it.
here!
This is why we keep telling you to come places. It always
Hey, you
comes.
went down into the fucking underworld, basically. There's no way that he'd already died once. He wasn't going down there. He's concerned about his spirituality. It's going to fuck him up if he goes down there.
Well, if you've read the manual,
It's just funny that this is the second time where it's like old man doesn't need to be there for there's the one session where you can have a session with that old man, and then literally Mercury came out.
See, this is the only time I regretted it. And even then, it's only for right now. So I can go ahead and just say to Nefrak, yeah, I get it.
Like, are you just bad at your thing, or is it like
man
hard?
also has too much skin.
You are thinking of entirely too short a time frame. I can afford to spend a decade to dabble before going back to my retreat once all of my more regrettable petty manifestations.
So your long-term indecisive then is what I'm hearing is that you spend a century like learning how to paint, and then you spend a century destroying the concept of painting.
Holds the hands up in front of Yang for a moment.
What? Oh yeah, go ahead, my brother.
Excuse me, as I'm a military man. Spiritual stuff is a bit more out there for me.
I
So-
couldn't tell.
Thanks. So my just general question is, why put it off though?
Yeah, then you just get it done. You'd rip the Band-Aid off, right?
No, not even just that. Like,
Oh wait, hold on. Isn't
What?
the fact that you want nothing a want?
Yes, hello, sophistry 101.
No, but like you're gonna keep doing this forever. Doesn't that get it? Aren't you tired of being sad?
don't you just want to go ape shit?
It
What if you just
actually
got
kind
as
of-
many regrets as possible? Maybe something else will happen.
It actually tilts its head at you mentioning sadness.
Well,
It
I mean, you
just-
call yourself like 108 regrets, right?
I can regret something without being sad about it.
Really? Like what?
It basically just kind of shrugs and gestures as if, like, I already said what I said, dude. It's your fault
No.
if you don't understand.
Right. I take another hit of the blunt.
You regret a regret?
In theory.
Wouldn't that make you have more than 108 regrets?
Man, everybody's gaslighting him, and I'm asking a legitimate question.
I don't know. I just
Well,
like-
actually, this is not like this is a serious thing. It's like your name makes no sense. Why would you say it's 108 regrets if you can regret a regret? Wouldn't that just infinitely lead to regrets?
like full disclosure, I don't even have nearly 1,000 miracles.
Yeah, like, that's the
What do you
thing-
mean
the
span
thing
all the seas? You aren't nearly large enough for that.
The thing just extends
barely
across
span a
the North
pond.
Tank. It's a metaphor, you fucking fools.
Like, come on, you aren't
Oh.
even Milanese. You're not even from southern France.
Okay, my bad. Just one more thing.
Just one more thing.
Mm,
Do you want to be friends?
you have no idea what you're asking, do you?
You better fucking believe I don't.
Somehow I feel like saying yes would break the laws of hospitality, so I will have to politely decline on behalf of not wanting my head removed from my shoulders.
Alright, you're lost.
Angler actually looks back at the ghost like, would that be breaking the laws of hospitality?
Hand wobble. Gray area.
I think that's a risk you got to take right now.
Well, alright, I respect your choice. Well, I don't respect your... Well, you know what? You do whatever you feel like. If we have to tear your head off, we'll get there when we get there, but I don't really feel like it right now.
But I feel as though I never got an answer to my question. And I mean this with no rudeness, but why are you waiting?
Like, what's physically stopping you?
Well, not physically, because obviously there's nothing really physically stopping him.
Well, I mean, no, he's bound to something, right? Do you just want? Are you trying to like manipulate us into breaking your your phylactery or whatever?
Blinks, just shakes his head.
So, like, what could we possibly do for you besides you give you more attachments? Really?
Destroy them for me, and perhaps, as I said, watching what you do will help catalyze spiritual advancement in my own ways.
Okay, so before saying the thing I'm gonna do here, does everyone feel like we've exhausted the scene?
Yeah, I feel like
So,
I've gotten his
There is
deal.
a little bit of information left, but nothing critical.
Well, I feel like we could, if there's more news that to try and slide in there. At some point, there would be lulls in the conversation where regrets could start like pointedly ignoring Yang and just trying to shout the news over him.
Actually, what I wanted to do was whisper to Milan, all right, we've got this beast a little off kilter. You're good at awkward small talk. Why don't you see if you can pull something out, because he wouldn't expect something
Yeah,
like that
the,
from you.
Also, where I was thinking going here. So yeah, bullet points. If regrets has any more news to deliver, let's like get that abbreviated outside of dialogue.
Yeah, okay.
And then if any of the hecklers would like to try and convert their heckling into something actionable, influence-wise, you can put together some dice and take a swing.
Yeah, this is basically
With
just me
words.
trying to get him off his own train of like.
Provoke and persuade and prod.
Actually, yeah. What would I roll to see how effective my attempt of specifically trying to just like derail the conversation is?
Manipulation,
Or then
I would say manipulation performance because it's you. And
yeah, fair enough.
I will give you a 2 die stunt on it because if the 3 die, you put a lot of work into that.
basically just asking incredibly pedantic questions to stop him from thinking about the thing
You
he's trying to
basically
tell us
got him
about.
off. You got him off the hammy evil train, and now he is just kind of bewildered and engaging earnestly.
That's a 6.
Yeah, like everyone in the room can kind of tell that the Nephrak is not like completely on tilt, but it is just like I'm not used to people not so much not taking me seriously, but like just being this banal about a conversation topic to me. Like this is like a conversation thread that it probably has not had in centuries, if it is that old. It is just like, what is going on?
Normally, by now, either the mortal has attempted to smite me, or I have successfully flayed the mortal. I don't understand the situation.
This time he's just saying, well, go on with your bad self, and then smoking a blunt. What is this?
The flowchart of its conversations has been completely derailed, and it's like, I don't know what to do in this situation anymore.
All right, taking advantage of this, Milan's going to make some small talk of, it sounds like one of your regrets might be us. You can just resolve that just by, like, going away. Like, we can do this thing for you, and then, I hear the western part of creation's nice this time of the decade. Why don't you go hang out over there?
Yeah.
Far away from
Considered
us.
blood?
That way we aren't. That way you can be 107 regrets.
Yeah, manipulation, socialize, 2-die stunt.
All right, and I'm also going to throw an excellency at this.
Yang, do you think you'd gain a miracle every time this guy loses a regret?
Maybe. I'm not keeping count, though. He seems like he needs a hug, but he doesn't want one, so I respect that.
5 successes.
It kind of shrugs. I mean, frankly, I'd want to be out of the blast radius anyway once the plan goes off, as it's going to get a lot of attention from heaven.
Hey, what do you know about Quicksilver?
It just kind of shrugs at that.
That's not the
Blast
character.
radius.
What do you mean blast radius? Yeah.
Oh, have you? Did you not? It kind of tilts its head. I was operating under the assumption you had already understood what you were against.
Wait a minute. I have an idea. I fucking tear out a map, put it on the floor, and point to don't. Is there a bomb here?
One could call it a bomb, yes, if you call a gate to Yushan a bomb.
Ha! You should have just led with this.
I already thought you knew.
We already knew that.
We did know
Hey,
that part.
You already
But
did know.
acting like we didn't know that
I'm
to make
trying
Skin
to- I
Man
am trying to
feel
lie.
stronger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely the moment of Angler's like, all right, cool, we're just rolling. No, we're just going to talk about, never mind, we're done here. Okay, moving along.
Just making sure, since there's, the campaign has gone on a while, there's plenty of plot points people have actually forgotten.
Yeah, that, and also, hey, this is the villain, of course he would know that there's one there.
So that tells us blast radius. That the escape to Yushan opening is going to be devastating.
Not directly. You see, my former Domator's plans to open the gate to Yushan do not end at opening the gate to Yushan. They involve entering Yushan and then making noise, I shall put it that way. And, well,
Ah, the classic war on heaven.
precisely. If... Well, not if, when his plan is doomed. I can only imagine the level of retaliatory violence that is going to come back out in this entire direction, both above and below. Frankly, I would rather not be anywhere near that. I am quite glad that I am no longer bound to the plan of a suicidal martyr.
Oh, off to the damp you go.
It just
So-
kind of...
Yeah, are we now, as a group, satisfied with
Yeah.
with our results here?
I chewed the scenery at him. That was fun.
We're all good for send off.
Yeah, go
Yep.
ahead.
So like at the point where such is accomplished, Repose just very ominously, loudly, echoingly steps down the halls towards his guest.
The air currents moving kind of make the skin mantle flutter on Regrets as he just stands and regards you getting closer.
Well then. If you desire respite from the wailings of summoners, I can offer one service. And he like raises just one finger, and it is charged with menace of the arts.
If I understand.
Whatever remains of you will fail to answer to your present name. If such is not to your liking, then peace be with you.
I appreciate your
For
approach.
Repose's part, this is an earnest offer of, I could maybe try to do surgery on you. Rip some bits off. You might become unrecognizable enough to not be summonable. If the front fell off your name, he leaves the actual voicing of it to that.
Yeah.
Here is my polite threat to you. But he is mulling that over as an occultist of, it would probably be easier for you to sleep if I just, take some chunks out.
I shall have to very gratefully and respectfully decline your offer, although I will keep it in mind should it become an irritation in the future.
Have you considered just being cleansed by holy fire? Nothing remains.
I have considered being cleansed by a boot between the legs by your hearth brother, and I can imagine it would be even more unpleasant.
Yep, Repose has nothing further to say beyond making that gesture.
Just kind of actually gives another respectful bow of the head, and then turns as the skin mantle flutters, takes one step, before turning back one time. As for the letters, it's actually like, this is not a menacing kind of pause, just kind of waiting here to ask. This is the expression on what is left of its face is like kind of stuck in thought of how do I phrase this exactly. I claim not to know the motive of our agent, but I will not be surprised if he is upset enough about the actions at Gonzoda to be approachable. Should you wish. Good day. Walks out of the tomb. Praise looks back at Repose with a rather kind of approving look at the offer given, of just kind of like, yeah, smart. Azar, unsurprisingly, just kind of looks like she wanted to have just peeled it apart with her bare hands and is frustrated that he didn't go over the line and is just kind of internalizing like, it's cool, I'll get a chance.
When it is time. And just kind of at appropriate stage whisper distance to Azar.
She does not respond to that one.
Well, no, all right, so an additional statement that I'm
additional-
composing here of... when we get into these situations, they indicating the rest of the group here, they just do this.
How do
Just,
you
just a little bit of lightening, well, altering the, twisting the mood.
She's just kind of like with genuine bewilderment. How do you not kill them?
It keeps working. In our favor.
Now that he is gone, just Obsidian says, I feel like I never got an answer.
I really wanted to know how this regrets worked. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was genuine curious. Was that heretical? Me
I
being
legitimately
curious?
wanted to know, like, why? Like, why doesn't he just go towards the thing that he clearly, I
It
guess
just
it's
doesn't
because
make
he
any
wants
sense,
it,
right?
and he
Like if
doesn't
he
want
wants to
the
touch
one
the
thing.
stove, he should just touch the fucking stove.
Praise waits for this chatter to go back and forth before raising her voice. Nephrax don't run on logic.
The hell do they run on?
Pain.
Oh. Now I feel bad.
At this, Milan's going to request someone escort him back out to creation.
The scene is largely done. There would be
Yeah.
just some more back and forth between Repose and Praise about briefings and, next objective is very
About
clearly
situation.
established.
Repose would bring along the update, and especially with those notes, though, I definitely think we can slip onto the conspiracy diagram here that Gauntlet probably also wants Teeth to banish the swamp demon, and is trying to approach Teeth about that in his own horrible Dracula way. Because that's a missing piece of the puzzle. All right, have big-ass army to distract the demon, have capable wizard to dispel the demon. There you go, now you have access to the gate.
Makes sense.
And that while, say, we have other options for who we could approach on that subject, all of those other local big sorcerers are not people that Gauntlet has this unique hook into.
Mm-hmm.
So on that front, we have two directions to think about. Going to the fort to confirm what they have done, and see if we can snatch and grab anything of our own from the rubble. But also still checking up on bears is important.
Yep.
Because if we can fix bears, then that can do a lot to flip the script here. Fortunately, we are capable of moving very fast. So I feel like the question becomes, how much value do you think we could get out of doing a raid on the fort?
I think the better question is, what is going to decay faster in terms of value? Talking to bears or going to the fort? Which one do we have to do first?
Bear.
Bear is closer.
Not
So there's
only is
less
Bear
upfront
closer, but
cost to Bear.
Bear is required for Gauntlet to do anything at Fort, so obviously we go talk to Bear first.
No, Gauntlet could do whatever he wants at the fort.
Wait, is the Fort not...
The fort is
No.
not the swamp.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
So the order of events, as I have
Wait, what's the Fort then? Sorry, I
hypothesized.
zoned out for a moment.
The place on the
Exalted.
river with the crystal dome zone problem.
Yeah.
Right, okay, the dome, yes.
Crystal zone.
Bear's way closer then.
Yes.
Bear's on the way.
Not really, but close enough.
It would be like a half day out of your way, and then however long to talk. And
Yeah, it's the half day to Bear, as opposed to the week it would take to get to the fort and back.
Yeah. So our priority for the moment remains visit lunar territory, diplome with bears. Diplome with bear and whatever people bear has adopted. Proceed to bear's area.
Yang, I feel like this is going to be your wheelhouse while we're out there. We're going to be having to follow your lead.
That's catastrophic. But
It's
okay.
horrifying. Just,
Well, you and the old man.
It's worse.
I really needed to make sure you understood the stakes.
Okay, back outside. Does Milan see old man from the entrance?
Where would old man be?
Old man would be probably not at the entrance. Probably at like tallest point.
All right, Milan is going to do a standing leap up to where old man is.
Uh-huh.
I'm at bonfire. I'm in Air's aspect. I have ups.
Okay.
Landing up there. Is old man crouching on his Geta? Is he at like eye level or is he up above?
He's actually lounging, believe it or not.
I don't believe the old man ever lounges.
So long as it's not the ground, he will go ahead and slam his butt onto that surface. It's fine.
All right, just landing in front of old man, crouching down, locking eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Oak fucked up again. He's a necromancer.
That's impressive, if nothing else, though.
He's doing it for Tyrant.
If he was doing it for himself, I'd be more impressed.
Wasn't even self-trained. He had Skin Man teach him.
Well, it actually takes some effort to get into lounge position when you're old man, because that's going into a different set of stances and whatnot than his body's used to. So leaving it is also equally hard. So you start to get the metallic popping noises of his bones.
The sound of copper scraping against copper.
Yeah, as he just straightens up a little bit, pushes back in, and telling me I've got another mess to clean up then.
In due time.
You realize why I barely consider my apprentice at this point, right?
Oh yes, completely. I barely consider you my master.
Nodding of head, and it's like, this is the correct relationship we should have, I think.
Same hat.
Well, I'll get filled in, I guess, at some point. Doesn't have to be right now, does it? As he flicks his Geta at Milan a little bit and tries to just knock him off. You're in full air Dora, like you said, right now, so it's not gonna hurt you.
Mm-hmm. And at this, Milan's gonna say, in due time, and pops a squat and lounges on the roof as well.
Dang. This was nice and quiet. And now it's nice and quiet, and there's the second person here, and that just spoils the entire experience.
And it's slightly cold.
Oh, that's normal. Who cares?
Otherwise, any last statements or ideas from the rest of the crew?
Figure there's going to be a lot of parting, intense staring back and forth between Repose and Hazar.
Mm-hmm.
That eventually breaks on just a remark of, So have you named her regarding the new one, the little one? The recommendation. The tube.
She has yet to earn a full title. She's earned many little epithets, though. One day she will do something, well, kind of glances out the door towards Yang. Perhaps there's something workable about what she did.
What?
Well then, I would hope to hear it when I return again.
She nods.
That's about as well as meetings between them go. I am home again because I have horrible, mind-shattering news about the hell world we live in. Cats are nice, though.
Relatable.
Anyway, gotta vanish for another season. Bye. Although,
This is boring. Hops off the roof.
Bo's gonna
That's why you'll never be as good of a sorcerer as I.
stop by the house, check on the adoption box, and presumably find that in each compartment, a petitioner has now settled into place, having found that this is their box.
Yes. They fits, so they sits.
As is good. Your box. Pick up box.
Next time. Bear. Diplomacy? Possibly fortress.
Bear diplomacy.
Possibly. Who knows?
Yang, do you think that 100 Regrets picked that name because it would give us regrets trying to figure out the name?
Probably.
I think he picked it because it metaphorically one for each bone in his body.
I think it just sounded cool in his head.
Aren't there more than 108 bones in your body?
Wait,
Depends on
old
the
man,
body.
old man, how many bones do you have?
Less than you.
See?
But you're growing more, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You don't understand how bones work in the body, do you?
Well, you lost a bone and then you grew it back.
Alright, here's a fun fact about things that happen as you age. Your bones start to fuse together. That might not happen to you, but this is a mortal thing people have to deal with.
Are you still aging?
Yeah, slowly.
Okay.
Day at a time.
It's more like, with how the potions work, it's more like maybe a tenth of a day for every day. But it is still happening.
Well, in the case of Old Man's current situation, it's also that this body was very pre-aged when he moved in.
Yes.
Yes, that is also the case. Because back when he was in his old body, he was still pretty hot if, like, looked like he was in his, like, a hot late 40s when he died.
Hot man.
Yeah.
Silver Fox.
He's got hot dad energy.
Yeah.
He's got hot grandpa energy.
The forgotten
Not
era between
really.
young man and old man when he was just man.
Man.
That's a man right there.
Man.
Are they old or young? No, just a man.
I have to
Next.
post the hot young man again.
Please do. Please do. I don't know if it ever showed up on a recording.
Oh, yeah, alright, hold on. I need to go find that then.
People who see the archives who don't have Discord deserve to see Hot Man.
Young man.
It's fun to stay at the...
Yeah, see, I was about to say, I'm really glad none of us have made a joke about the YMCA yet, and then never mind, we got there.
I have no shame. Wow, where in the world I keep this?
Like, seriously, at this point, I'm actually going to... I hope you're happy, Darren. I'm actually going to be thinking about 108 Regrets name for a while, going like, is that like recursive time travel bullshit? Like, they knew it would be that...
It's a Nephrak. Stop thinking about it.
But I can't. I gotta touch the hot stove.
This is how the whispers get you.
Next
This
time
is
we
what
meet
people
him,
were warning you
he's
about.
Next time we meet him, he's 109 regrets.
107, actually.
115. Oh God, what happened?
There he is. Hold on. All right, found it. This took me a while.
It's all good.
Oh, that's why, because I saved it under his real name. There you go. That was around when he died. That's what he looked like when he died. He was
Behold
that,
the man.
Man,
he was he was hot. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, no. Copper hair, too, by the way.
Yeah, he was like violently red hair kind of thing.
Man, standard. Arms, legs, head, no feathers.
With the horrible curse of hot man bestowed upon the chat. Next time.
Next time, bears.